on the play by Prevalent. Got his receiver downfield. That's Paul Davis.
If he has good technique, he will be elite. If his technique becomes great, not just good, then he's a Hall of Famer.
Going down again. It's Q. Glenn Williams.
Fighting through contact, fighting through offensive line, being a double team, multiple moves stacked into one, just a play of pure domination. This is actual film, it's actual football talk. It's a football show, we're supposed to talk football, not storylines.
I'm never going to get over that little watermark we added with the end Kyle Smith. So what's up, man? I'm sure we're going to be really positive tonight. Maybe talking some people off the ledge, maybe talking ourselves off the ledge, kind of just delving into the situation that is with the New York Jets. But before we do that, what's up, man?
Not too much, man. Like we were just talking before we started recording, man. It's, it kind of is what it is. You asked me, like what's going on, and I said not too much good, because the situation is what it is with the Jets. It's definitely a lot worse than we thought it was going to be, but I don't think that we're to the point where some of the other overreactionaries are at. So, and I don't know, man, like both of us, we love football so much that it can affect us in our personal lives, man. So I don't know.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And like and we're going to get into it all, but like just with the offense too, like we expected it to be, I think we both said like slightly below average, like 18 to 20 type range. We expected the offensive line to be okay. We expected the receivers to be okay. I think kind of just maybe falsely assumed that, Michael Lafleur being I think he's 34 years old, 34-year-old rookie OC was going to have his shit together.
2 years older than me. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And he's only been in the NFL since 2014 or 2016. So we kind of assumed a lot, and you have, the first game where it's the offensive line mostly, and, a little bit of Elijah Moore dropping that deep ball, Corey Davis dropping, a ball. Week 2, it's Zach Wilson. And then week 3, it's everybody, receivers dropping passes, Ty Johnson dropping 2 passes, Zach Wilson throwing some balls low, Corey Davis, the offensive line. Like, it was a combination of everything. And for the first 2 games too, like you can kind of hang your head on the defense a little bit. Not so much with week 3 for me. I think there's a few good players, but they ran it down the Jets' throat. I will give them credit for staying in the game, staying in the game in the red zone when they could have given up a couple times, forcing a fumble. Like some of those things were good, but overall, just an absolutely terrible game. So what is up to everybody in here? Both the mics, Busted Knuckles, Eagle, Glenn, Yoshi, I see, Shadow, Eugene. Alex said he went to the game. He went to that game with his whole family. No more in-person games. I'm praying, Alex, that you live in Denver or in that area and do not fly to Denver for that game. That is absolutely brutal. JC, CD, what is up, everybody? Bus said he ran into an interesting stat earlier. The New York Jets are 0-3 since releasing Bus Lawson. Maybe we should have kept him since we need some more blessings. Yeah, that's obviously a joke.
Counterpart. What was the Jets record with Bless Austin starting?
Dude, yeah, exactly. The thing is, and like I think the Seahawks secondary is struggling right now too. They're struggling in general, but like, and it's not even the corner play. But the thing is just like it's so deflating because what's the stats going out there, Kyle? It's like 46-3 in the first half throughout the first 3 games. So like so early into the game, they score a touchdown or 2, and we're like, oh, game is over. So it's been really, really bad. But what do you want to get? Because I guess we're going to recap. I guess you could throw a little bit of the Pats game in there because you didn't really get to talk about that too much. But we're going to do more of the Broncos game. Obviously, this is the stream after the Broncos game. Again, I'll try to answer some stuff in the chat. What's up, Assassin? Wolves, never seen you in here. What do you want to get into first with this?
I'll say this. So you should kind of steer the ship because we're also on a little condensed schedule, being that we got 2 hours for this. So
yeah,
you kind of take it where you see fit, and I'll go off that.
Let's start. There's less people in here than there will be in a little bit. So let's take it to it's like hard to be positive right now. I really don't know what you want to do in terms of starting with negative or positive. I guess let's do Zach Wilson. I just finished recording the film review of the game. It's probably about like 2.5, 3 hours. It always is, but like slowly it's dropping. Like the first game was like 77 plays. Next game was like 72. Now it's 67. And if it keeps going like this, the plays are just going to keep going down because I just can't keep doing it. Eagles
But
says
if they have 3 touchdown victory, it's going to be longer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Eagle says new Jets motto, all L, no wins. Yeah. I'm going to try to adjust some of the chat, some of it I won't. Again, super chats always appreciate it. Appreciate you guys being in here. I know it's tough. Hopefully again, we can kind of talk through it a little bit, but with Zach Wilson, Kyle, what are your thoughts? Week 1, I think we were both impressed relative to what he was given, what he was surrounded with. Week 2, obviously the game's on him. That was absolutely brutal. I put 3 of those 4 picks on him. And then the last game, I think it was a combination to give it away. Whoever, who cares? I said he got like the lowest passing grade possible. Like there was definitely some missed throws. There was definitely some hesitation. There was definitely some indecisiveness. He missed a check down or 2, but I gave him like a C- D+, like kind of like the high school student I was, like just good enough to pass the class, but like still disappointing to your family and your parents. Like it wasn't a terrible game for him. But it's not like I was like, I didn't watch that game of Zach Wilson. I was like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. Like the one pick with, it was like an inverted cover 2 or cover 6. I forget exactly the top of my head with Justin Simmons. He saw Davis. And I think he saw Simmons on that play and he just tried to fit the ball in there, but he took like an extra second to throw that ball. So if he threw it when Davis was breaking, he could have fit it in there. So I don't think he didn't see Simmons. I think he just tried to force a ball, which again, get rid of the ball quicker. Second pick, obviously, initial pressure, stunt, whatever it was, gets out of the way, eyes downfield, throws a laser to Braxton Berrios. Berrios tips off.
By the way,
hand.
he moved so smoothly on that play in the pocket. It was an impressive play. That one's totally on Berrios. Yeah, dude. So, and I made my stance on Zach very well known. I really, really, really love Zach's game, and I'm very, very, very high on it. And I've made it very well known that I really liked it, always better than Darnold's game. But, so some people might be overhyping, like, oh, well, he's not being protected. Like, no, like it's the amount of pressure he's been under is definitely affecting his game. There's no doubt about it. His mechanics, the way that he's fading out of so many passes, and sometimes it's not even necessary. And, so I'm probably going to be a week to 2 week behind on watching your film reviews. So I've watched all 3 games, the coach's film myself. And I'm probably about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way done through watching your Patriots one. I watched your one against the Carolina game, and you did a pretty good job pointing out sometimes like where he's unnecessarily fading away. And it's like, sometimes like, that ability for him to make those off-platform throws and stuff is great. It's amazing. And even Zach, so I don't listen to a lot of press conferences, but I do like to listen to his. And he even himself said, like, sometimes it's just not necessary. And he's like, I pride myself on making off-platform throws from different arm angles and stuff, but you're not supposed to do it when it's not necessary. It's only a thing that you do when you have to do it. And he knows he can do it. And he practiced it, ad nauseum with his quarterback coach, who I'm forgetting his name at the moment. But
Kavanaugh?
Dude, no, isn't it? I forgot his name. John Beck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so like the guy he trains in the offseason, that's what I meant to say. So he's doing it so much to the point where, like, dude, and you're seeing it 3 weeks straight. It's like, the amount of pressure that he's been under, it is definitely affecting his game. And so, yeah, you definitely put some blame on him. Like, dude, clean your mechanics up, like stuff like, like part of that's on you. But, and this is why football is such a team game. Well, it's also on the coaching. Like, sometimes we're seeing guys just not passing off stunts and stuff. Like, how much of that's on coaching, and how clear are the assignments communicated to the offensive linemen? And then sometimes they're just getting beat straight up, Yeah. Are the concepts designed? Like, the spacing has been a big issue. We've seen too many times where receivers are in the same area. well, if people aren't open, I mean, Zach's not going to be able to get the ball out as quick. So I don't know. I'm just rambling for 5 minutes straight. So go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Yeah, no, like it's and we'll talk about like Lafleur in a little bit. And again, there's people in the chat like, listen, did we expect it to be bad? I think relatively, like we knew it was a young team, ton of cap space. This is the first rebuild the Jets are actually doing because you got to look at the teams in the past, rebuilding while signing CJ Mosley, not an older player, but still an older-ish kind of player, I guess, to a massive contract. Le'Veon Bell, Tremaine John, like all these guys, like they were never really like truly rebuilding from the ground up. And that's what Douglas has had to do. We can have conversations about his 2020 class. We can have conversations about his 2021 class. We expected there to be growing pains. I don't think this heavy, but for people to say like selling at this point, and I'm not going to get into it with somebody individually because I don't want to do it. But like fire Saleh, fire Joe Douglas, like all this stuff. Let's give it some time. I think one of the biggest crux of it right now is, like one play Wilson will do great, receiver doesn't catch it. One play the receiver will do great, Wilson doesn't have time to throw the ball because of the offensive line. Next play, everybody else is great. Wilson misses a throw because of the mechanics you were just talking about. Like it's a combination of things where will it be this bad all season? I severely doubt it, to be completely honest. I just do. And starting and to be not I don't want to be positive, but like you play the Panthers, good defense. Bill Belichick, okay. Denver Broncos, Vic Fangio, one of the godfathers of defense. So like it's going to get easier from here on out, but that is still not excusing the fact that they have scored 6 points in 2 games. It's not an excuse.
No.
But with that same token, giving up on Saleh, bad hire. Zach Wilson's a bust. Joe Douglas is terrible. Get rid of everybody. Way too soon for that. We have to give it more time. If you look at this rest of the season, we'll start having some of those conversations. I still don't think it happens because Saleh just hired. They're linked. You're not going to fire Douglas and then give him Saleh. Like it's just not going to happen. They all have at least 2 more years left at the minimum, and it's going to be even more time than that. They will round out from this, but right now it's just been absolutely brutal. But to say that Saleh's co-tight or Izzik is better than JD, let's chill a little bit. Again, this is the first like true rebuild that we've had, but yeah, Wilson again, like with the mechanics, he's definitely feeling the pressure, 100%, fading out, like pop stepping, like I've highlighted a couple times. His like transitional footwork from read to read isn't there. We saw him even on the Ty Johnson second drop, like it was low. We saw him on Elijah Moore on that 3rd and 7. You could argue that Moore could have cut that short to the sticks. But you can also make the argument that was where Moore was supposed to cut, and Zach Wilson overstrided it. And when you overstride, your front foot locks out. When your front leg locks out, you can't transfer the weight from your back leg to your front leg. Now you're using all arm. You throw the ball low. So there's some of that. There's some of the one of the sacks, and there isn't like there's that stat out there. Like I think 9 of his 15 sacks, he's held the ball for like 4 more seconds, and that's obviously like multi-layered. And I think it's something like that. That's a multi-layered argument because. Could it be him? Yes, 100%. There was a one play specifically last game. I forget exactly what it was, but there's nobody open. Initially, there's initial pressure. I think it's Michael Carter or Ty Johnson's open the check down. He takes a sack. There are plays like that, 100%. But there's also plays where the offensive line, there's so much pressure on the interior. Now he's rolling out. So yes, he's going to hold the ball for longer because of the offensive line. And there's times where the offensive line blocks well, but the receivers are all running the same 3 routes. Now there's nobody open. So now what does he do? So it's a combination of things. It's not just Wilson. Again, we'll get into Lafleur, but again, first game, thumbs up. Second game, terrible. This game, like a C-. Like there's definitely things he could have improved. I'm not like saying that Wilson had a terrible game last game. I just can't. Again, that Davis throw in the red zone, Davis dropped it. Davis on the sideline, dropped it. Michael Carter over the middle on that option route. A lot of people are calling it an angle route. I see them more as option routes based on how they're running them. To be completely honest, Michael Carter drops it. Ty Johnson, 4th and 2. Barrios doesn't do a good job, and he's like the number 2 slot, pushes vertical, gets kind of jammed up. Ty Johnson has to kind of flatten his route out. Him and Wilson don't have great timing. Wilson puts out a little bit far in front of him, hits both of his hands, drop. Like if his receivers were just to help him, like Tim Patrick throwing the ball up, Cortland Sutton throwing the ball up, helping Teddy Bridgewater, his stats look a lot better and people wouldn't be as low on him. So I'm not blaming Wilson. There's definitely things he can improve on. He's a rookie coming from BYU with, to be honest, right now, to me, not great coaching, with offensive line that is severely inconsistent and receivers who aren't necessarily getting open, even though Elijah Moore's getting open a little bit more than people think. And Corey Davis, who has 5 drops through 3 games, and he had 4 drops all last year. And like, it's so crazy. Like when you do these reviews and I almost like, not like feel bad, but like, what are we supposed to do? And, or me personally, like the film reviews, you see Corey Davis as a hands catcher his entire time for the Tennessee Titans. He comes to the Jets and now he's body catching balls. Is that a confidence thing? Like, what is it? So it's really multi-layered. So I guess getting off of Wilson, I see the chat's going a little bit. I'm sure I'll get to it in a little bit. But moving on from him, I guess we can get into the offensive line. We'll sit the offense first, and then we'll go to Mike Lafleur, and then we'll round it out with the defense, whatever else. We'll hit the chat a little bit. But what are your thoughts on the offensive line right now?
Yeah, I think with them, it's not so much like the ability like we've seen in previous years where clearly we're trotting out 5 guys that are just really not that talented and they're just getting their ass kicked. I think it's more of a function of just so much miscommunication and I guess lack of gel time with each other. I mean, I think it's leading. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's times when they're just getting their ass kicked too, especially Greg Van Roten. But
yeah,
a lot of it's like, okay. And I didn't read Vitor's. I think Vitor either put out a video or wrote a piece recently about the whole Connor McGovern reply to someone on Instagram direct message. Like, is he throwing AVT under the bus there? So I didn't get to read that yet or whatever, but just things like that. I mean, clearly, who is this on? That's a blown assignment, right? And it's there's too many things like that.
Yeah, it was either a blown and with that too, like I prefaced that in the show. When I'm talking about Connor McGovern, we'll get to GVR, we'll get to his comments with him. The thing is, like with that stuff, I do always want to preface it by saying if it's on a doctored picture, like is that a real picture? I'm not sure. People with their editing and stuff, I'm not 100% sure. Now, with that being said, if he is going out to say like, hey, you basically, excuse my French, but like you dumb fuck fan, you don't get it. And then with that being said, now you throw AVT under the bus, not good. It was either a blown assignment by AVT, and it was a slide from the left guard to the right tackle, and AVT was supposed to pick him up, and Fant was on an island on the left side, or it was like that 3-jet protection, which is not a good protection call in terms of you having a nose tackle over top of you, and now on a I forget if it was a play action. Was it a play action? Yeah, play action. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For now, Michael Carter after play action to be able to pick up a nose tackle on his face. So 3-jet's not a good protection right there. So is it 3-jet? Was it a combo? Was it Bob? Was it slide? Whatever it was, I talk about that in the show as well. So it was either a misassignment or a really bad call by the center in terms of the protection. But continue. Sorry, I want to.
Yeah, and this might sound like a cop out too, but I also do feel like I felt like the Panthers did, and now everybody's kind of really after 3 weeks. You can start to say like, okay, maybe this team is for real in this aspect. And a lot of people are saying, oh, the Panthers defense is really good now. And forget Sam Darnold for a moment. I totally underestimated like some of the talent they had on their defense. Cause I tweeted out, like, I wasn't worried about that game, but I felt like they did a really good job, just like, with their stunts and positioning guys on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. Belichick's always done a good job with that, but I feel like the teams that we faced in the first 3 weeks, we're also really good at doing a lot of that stuff. Like if you notice, like when some of these guys, when they pick and they loop and they pass off, like I felt like we've gone against some teams that are really good at doing that stuff. And it was just kind of like an inopportune time because sometimes it takes offensive lines to gel.
It does.
And we just happened to face teams that were pretty good at doing that stuff in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and, I don't know. Maybe it sounds like a cop out way. So
Titans,
I'm like, I'm carrying water for the Jets. Huh?
Titans are apparently pretty good with that too. But people talk about like Joe Douglas too. Like again, let's give him some more time. Adams trade, like the trades have been good. The 2021 class, I already was happy with it. The 2020 class is not great right now, but 99 went over it last week. Like Becton's injured by GVR rolling up on him. Mims. We have no idea. I think that's more coaching staff than Mims because we all love Mims. So let's not act like we didn't love the Mims pick. Now we're killing him for it. You can kill him for James Morgan, most likely P. Ryan, even though he's a depth running back in the 4th round. That's fine. And you can kill him for Zuniga, but like Ashton Davis got injured. We expected him to be raw. He was raw. You can give him credit for Bryce Huff. You give him credit for Guidry. You give him credit for Bryce Hall. So like it's not, the 2020 class does not look good, but to act like the final nails in the coffin in that class is absolute bust. Like if he hits on Huff, Hall, Davis ends up being a decent guy, Becton's your left tackle, and Mims is a solid depth receiver, it's really not a terrible class. Like let's just chill on the draft class a little bit. It's just
actually a pretty good class.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Well, if that works out, but the fact that Becton's out, Mims is out, Davis is out, people are freaking out. But again, that's why it takes 3 to 4 years. So like, I'm not saying that's a good class. I just want to preach a little bit of patience with that class because people are injured, and Mims is not playing for the reasons we've spoken about before. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's more on the staff than it is Joe Douglas, because we all were ecstatic with that pick. Ecstatic. So we'll see. But moving on, again, we can get into every pick, every move, all this stuff, but they're not playing well. They have a ton of cap. They have a ton of picks. They traded Adams. They landed JFM. They got Guidry. They got Hall. They got Michael Carter. They got Eccles. They have Michael Carter, both of Michael Carter this year. And I think this is why personally, Joe Douglas, he had to get committed, 6 years contract. He knew how long this was going to take and how impatient fans were. And right now it's taking a while. Now, again, did I expect it to be this bad? Now, can you blame him? I'm not for the draft. Can you blame him for how McGovern hasn't worked out? Sure. He hasn't worked out. GVR for him being locked into him being his starting right guard. Sure. 100%. How much money they gave Fant and the way he's playing? Sure. You can blame him for that. Can you blame him for not addressing that tight end?
But honestly, though, when you compare Fant to some other starting left tackles or right tackle salaries, and the fact that there wasn't a huge amount of guaranteed money late in that contract, I think it was a really reasonable contract for where Fant has played so far.
Below average. But I'm continuing on. You can blame him for some of those if you want. You could blame him for the fact that in a 12 personnel heavy system, Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin seeing 36 snaps in a game. Blame him for that. I'm fine with that. The running back room, listen, I said when we were doing the roster, whatever, ranking the roster, I said that the Jets had a bottom 3 to 5 running back unit in the NFL. People were like, what the hell are you talking about? Now you see that Ty Johnson is, let's be honest, he's a jag. He's a jag. He runs hard. He trucks some guys over. He has speed. In terms of his read, in terms of pass protection, he's brutal.
They really need to start taking him off on third down.
Yeah, he's not a good running back. Ryan is not the only running back who I think Michael Carter could be a 1A or 1B, but minus that, Ty Johnson, jag. Tevin Coleman, jag. Ryan ends up being a jag. They're all jags. So can you blame him for some of that stuff on the offense? Yes, but to say everything is absolutely brutal, he's so bad. Again, I named a lot of bad things there, but we'd really have to break it down step by step. They didn't bring in free agents this year. We talked about, they didn't bring in Trey Smith. They didn't bring in who was that guard from the Chargers? People are like, you should have brought that guy in. But then they're making it a really baseline argument.
Talk about Lindsley, the center?
No. The guard who got let go, who's in free agency, who somebody else signed. I forget his name. Let's just say was it Trey Smith in the draft who got drafted by the Chiefs? Should have brought in Trey Smith. But people are really going baseline with their arguments where power guy, 330 pounds, going into an outside zone system, it's not a fit. So people just like to assume, Lindsley was in free agency, Tooney was in free agency, the fact they're not on the Jets is a bust. But who's to say we didn't offer them? So you'd have to sit down for hours and move by move discuss it before we can say, he's absolutely terrible. And I think people are looking at baseline. They suck right now. He's terrible. Now next year, after we spend $40, $50, $60 million and a lot more draft picks and the 2021 class and the 2020 class look bad. Trey Turner. Thank you, Tony Lee. Then we can start criticizing him. Again, it's a little bit early now for you to be him kind of let's say dropping into power rankings. Okay. But to say we're completely out on the guy we were all ecstatic about the last year or two, but because the season started off like this, it's hard right now to preach patience because we've had patience for 10 years, but you just got to look at it a little bit more, I guess, realistically. What do you think, Kyle? I kind of went in a different way.
No, I agree with you. So here's the thing. So let me comment on Trey Smith for a moment. You pointed out all the scheme thing, which we talked about before too, but another thing that we didn't know until post-draft why he slid so far is he had blood clot issues. And there's a reason why every team passed on him as many times as they did. Now, who drafted him? The Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I understand he's starting for the Chiefs, right? And that's great for them. But see, Andy Reid with the Chiefs, when you're a Super Bowl bound team, you can make luxury picks like that. But when you're the Jets, you can't afford to make luxury picks like that, because at least every single team thought those blood clot issues were serious enough to stay away from him for that long in the draft. Now, the Jets being what they are in rebuild mode, you draft a dude that has blood clot issues and it doesn't work out. How much are you going to get killed in the media for that? Oh, this team that hasn't had a good offensive line, why are you drafting a player that has blood clot issues when there's a good chance that, he might not be able to play, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And there was something else that you said too. Yeah. Going back to the contract thing, if I'm not mistaken, based on the reports that I remember, we knew pretty early on that Joe Douglas was the front runner to get the Jets GM job for a while. And he was one of the first people they interviewed, if not the first. And then they went and interviewed other people, and it still seemed like it was Douglas's job to lose. Mm-hmm. And some fans kind of got a little antsy, like, what's waiting so long? Why hasn't Douglas signed his contract yet? Yada, yada, yada. I think why, if I remember correctly, why it got held up a little bit was because they were negotiating. The Jets wanted to offer him 5 years. He wanted that extra 6th year because he knew it was going to be a slow build. So,
and again, you can have problems. McGovern, GVR, tight end, running back, and Snoopy. You're saying those are backup level players on a good team. I don't know what players you're talking about necessarily, but I just criticize them a lot. I'm just saying, if we had $15 million in cap space and 6 picks next year, and we were a middle of the, not middle of the road, like a middle tier age team or older team, blame them, but we have to give it more time. With that being said, it sucks right now. It does. We should not be this bad, but we'll get into a lot more reasons. The offensive line, partially blamed from, again, we could talk about this, Kyle, until 4:00 in the morning. If we just want to go Joe Douglas, every move he's made, what's been wrong, what's not been brought in. Like, people are hating on Davis now. People love Davis when he was signed, $12.5 million. Nelson Aguilar, everybody praises the Patriots all the time, is getting $12.5 million or $13 million there and is like a jag wide receiver. Corey Davis, I said it when he was signed, I think he's a low tier number 1 or a good number 2. And right now he's showing more of that good number 2, dropping balls. I don't think how can you can't scout that. And people say, oh, well, drops in New York show up a lot more than they do in Tennessee. Drops are drops. I watched all the film. He didn't drop balls at that. He was on a body catcher. So it's just, I think he's kind of pressing.
And drops can get in your head. Drops can definitely get in your head, but I doubt he's going to have another stretch this season where he's going to have 5 drops over 3 games. I'd be really shocked if he does.
Mike Galizis, $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Mike. Hit the like button.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't get to all the chats. There's a lot and people angry in here, and I can't address everything. So we'll get into one comment for 10 minutes, and I just don't have enough time to do it. Snoopy, yes, we have a team full of Jags. Mostly, there's some good players on the team, but we have $70 million in cap space and 11 picks next year. Like, this is what we expected. Mr. Tuda, can you criticize Lafleur? We 100% will. That is coming. JC, what's up? CD. Okay, there's a bunch of. Yeah, Davis is a good number 2. I think on a good team, he's a good number 2. Beatrice, Joe, stick your guns. Don't listen to the 14-year crybabies. What do they think this year would look like? Yeah, I will stuck to my guns. Trust me. It's not supposed to be this bad, but to just say everybody sucks, get rid of everybody, different story. It's just a different story. So moving on. Again, people are trying to be negative, and I'm negative too. Kyle, you see it more when I'm drunk.
Oh yeah.
The Panthers game, dude. Like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. I've had season tickets for years. Going to games, getting up at 6:00 in the morning, leaving at 6:45, dealing with the traffic, going to a stadium that is only like popping for week 1, 2, 3, and then to get overrun by fans, to get blown out, to travel, to get blown out, to get made fun of, to be the laughing stock of the league, to get made fun of on ESPN. I get it. Trust me, I do. The 2021 Jets are much different than the 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 Jets in terms of where the roster is, the cap space, that they have, it's different. Trust it just is. It's undeniable. So while the early results have not been good, let's see where this team is week 7, 8, 9. Let's see where they are next year. It's a long season. It sucks right now. It does. Undeniably, it sucks. But
yeah, I already got students
at
school telling me who don't watch shit. Oh, Zach Wilson's a bust. Talk to me at the end of the season. That's what I tell them.
Yeah,
let's see if you think that at the end of the season.
And we can still suck. I predicted like 7, 8 games. They might only win 4 or 5, but it's about progression. We didn't expect them to start off hot with a rookie OC, a rookie quarterback, a new system for a new offensive line, a new defensive system. Like, again, we'll see. What's up, Mike? Eagles. One of the he's going off the deep end. I don't know where he is at now, but by the way, people going to the Titans game too. I'll be there, J1, if you want to come by. If you want to just drink your face off and just start shotgunning beers with me, 100% down. Kyle saw that. I'm with that. If you want to drink your sorrows away, J1, I'm cool to see anybody. That'd be awesome. Yeah, nobody watches the ESPN anymore. That's true. I don't watch ESPN either. Somebody tag Jets X Factor somewhere in here. I just can't see where it is. Again, I'm trying to see where that is. I'm sorry. Again, I can't get to everything. Yeah, SL James. By the way, there's a bunch of people maybe I haven't noticed before. I'm sorry if you're not a regular. Bill, SLJ James, Chris Turner, Orpheus, I think I've seen before, but what's up to all the new people? B Travel, I've seen. There's a bunch of people who have normally commented. So thanks, everybody. Again, it's hard. There's 90 people in here. I'm preaching like somewhat, not even positivity, but patience. And I'm sure people want to punch me in the face, but I'm just trying to look at it. Not saying you guys aren't realistic, but I'm just trying to really like sit down and like analyze it, stick my guns, whatever. Moving on, receiver core, tight ends, running. Let's go to the skill positions, and we'll talk about Lafleur right after because we're kind of working through the offense. I think that's what we're going to do, kind of work through the position groups and how they played and etc. Skill positions, Kyle, what were your thoughts? Brutal?
Yeah, definitely not super impressive. So we talked about Ty Johnson a little bit before. And this goes down to coaching too. Like, okay, now you've got 3 weeks of game tape and stuff. You've seen what guys can do. Playing in games is a little bit different in practice and stuff. Ty Johnson, get him off on third down. And there's multiple reasons for that. Like Michael Carter has shown you like, okay, this dude's a player. All right. But you can't, and this is the problem that I have with Saquon is so bad in pass pro. It's a huge liability. And Ty Johnson, I mean, he's shown thus far that he's not that good at catching the ball and he's not that good at pass blocking. So he's a huge liability on third downs.
Dude, and to be honest, like, unless you're getting him in space, like his vision is just not good either. Like his spatial awareness in terms of like relating to the hole and how he's supposed to get through holes. I don't know if you watch that.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I have.
Like he just feet aren't patient. Vision isn't good. Tries to just put his head down and run full speed. I have soured on Ty Johnson. That is one thing I definitely have soured on.
And I can't really exactly speak to what you said, but I actually thought his vision was going to be decent after what I saw last year, or, from like the Rams game and stuff. But this is why you have to kind of reevaluate and your positions on things. And I agree with you now that no, his vision isn't good. So, but that's part of what goes to coaching. Like, okay, this isn't working. Let's change things up. Yeah. So yeah, no, his vision isn't good. He's a Jag, and we need to see more Michael Carter, especially on third downs, as far as I can see with that.
Dude, did you see that one play this game? Like where
pull it up if you can. Okay. Well, anyway, just describe it then.
If while we're talking, if I could pull it up really quickly, the play where I forget the protection is, maybe like a 3 jet or something, whatever it was, you could tell that Ty Johnson was supposed to like block inside out, and he starts outside and then tries to get back inside the block, and then Wilson's like already sacked. It's like he has. Are
you talking about from the Patriots game or this game?
This game. Ty Johnson has no idea what he's doing in pass blocking, like absolutely no idea. Because I think I labeled that play like Wilson no chance, so it'd be kind of hard for me to find it. Okay. Maybe I can go back. Hold on, let me.
Well, it's not the hugest deal in the world, being that we're on a time crunch. But well, if you are looking for, I could talk about someone else. I mean, another thing that bothers me too is Berrios. Like, so obviously we didn't have Crowder, and that is a huge loss. And I knew it was going to be a huge loss for 3 weeks. And people have been trotting out this narrative for the longest time. And I think part of it just goes down to like social media bullshit. Like Braxton Berrios, good looking dude, dating a nice young looking woman and things like that. And he's very photogenic and he's good with the camera guys for the Jets and stuff. And people automatically assume he's better than what he is because of that. Like, the amount of people saying trade Crowder, sign Berrios to a contract extension. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I think people look at like specifically like again, people are stat humpers. It's like for lack of a better term. So they see, oh well, he gets like seven catches for 50 yards. That's what Crowder does. But like I highlighted 2 plays this game. One, the drop, and 2, there's a route where like I forget exactly what the route concept was, but he was running either like it was either a corner or an out route, and there's a DB outside leverage of him and high. And he cuts directly into the DB, and they're just like playing patty cake. Like they're just like kind of holding each other. Where like Crowder's a route runner who would notice, okay, I might have to adjust my route a little bit. This guy's playing high. I'm going to shorten my stride, make like whether it be a speed cut, a square cut, get underneath of him to get outside. And maybe if he has to like kind of drift upfield to get where his initial spot is, like that's a little stuff in route running where Berrios is like, okay, I got to take 14 steps and cut outside. And the guy is right over top, right where he's supposed to cut. And he just continues running right into him. Like he doesn't even try to avoid him. So like to say that Berrios is Crowder is 1,000,000,000% false. They are not even close. I saw people who you might respect say, oh, well, just trade Crowder last year because you have Berrios. Stupid. You're an idiot. If you think that's true, I'm sorry. You're just stupid. So, the display, just like he just lost. Just
Jesus
absolutely
Christ.
Lost, dude. And in terms of Wilson, like what is he? And he actually gets the ball out here and delivers it to the sideline. Like this is what he's asked to do when he's completing some of these passes. So like hell of a job by Wilson reading that DB's leverage, staying over the top of that, opening his hips. Like great job. So
and this is why football is the ultimate team game.
Hell
like. Yeah. Just think about like how one little mishap like that, like eventually he realizes like, oh shit, I'm doing the wrong thing. Like, and he realizes it pretty early on in a play, but just like one little screw up like that can literally like screw up the entire play.
Yeah. And people are saying Berrios is decent. Berrios is a decent depth receiver.
And he's a good returner. He's a good returner. I'll give him that.
Berrios is not a receiver who should be seeing 10 targets a game. He should be a receiver who comes in every once in a while to spell a guy, but not full time. We've missed Crowder big time. Missed him. He's one of the better slot receivers.
Berrios has improved since he's in his time with the Jets. He's gotten better, but to act like he's Jamison Crowder. I mean, Jamison Crowder was a 4th round draft pick who, let's be honest, the only reason he slid to the 4th round is because he's so small. And he totally lived up to his draft type. I mean, he was a good player from the jump out in Washington. They're not the same player. They are not. And it looks like Crowder's going to be back this week. And I think that's going to make a pretty big damn difference on offense. We'll see. I'm pretty sure it's going to be that way. And due to like, so maybe Jeff Smith's not going to play this week. I'm seeing, I know he got in a car accident, got a concussion from that. I would say there's a decent chance Moore's not going to play because of a concussion. I hate people getting injured. I don't even root for injuries for other teams. But if there is one silver lining, it seems like Mims was probably going to have to be active for that reason. And they might have to play him more for that reason, hopefully.
They're being forced to play their 2nd round pick.
Yeah. And then if he starts making plays, it's like, how can you deny him at this point? Like your offense been so bad after 3 weeks and this guy's on the field, he's making plays. It's like kind of forces you like, okay, we got to play him a little bit more. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely forgot to promote the call-in number and say there's call-ins. If you want to call in, great. We have to cut it really, really short if you do, just because there's so much to talk about. But call in if you want. I'll give you like 5 minutes. I just pinned it. But yeah, going to the I guess the other skill positions, but running through it really quick. Elijah Moore running some good routes. Again, there's 2 times he was open, he was missed. And there's another route too. I think it was like a quick dump off to Ty Johnson. We got the first down on like 3rd and 5 that Moore ran a really good route with like a push by. Corey Davis, obviously disappointing. He's had a nice adjustment to a few of those balls in terms of like adjusting his route to getting where Wilson's trying to throw the ball. Dropped. Tyler Kroft. And in terms of Wilson too, like that throw to Tyler Kroft too. Awesome throw on 3rd down.
Yeah.
And by the way,
awesome catch too.
So yeah, something I noticed a couple times too is because you were so big on like smash concept with Darnold, how bad he was at reading him. Wilson's been pretty good, and so far, like again, he's ups and downs, admittedly. His reading of smash concepts and being able to look off that flat corner and throw it in like that honey hole has been pretty good. Like this game, there's a play where like I think he drops back, reads middle, reads the I think it's like a corner, checks the flat, stares at the flat for a second. You see the DB like in the high angle, like just like kind of like feet stuck in the ground, and then he like throws to the in the honey hole without.
You
want
to pull that one up?
You want to pull that one up? Yeah, okay. There's 67 plays. Like I didn't label it exactly like that, but yeah. So, but nonetheless, he needs more talent around him. He needs more running backs. He needs, again, Ryan Griffin seeing 36 snaps in a game or 38 snaps in a game is the fact that Ryan Griffin is seeing 36 snaps and Denzel Mims is sitting on the bench is driving me crazy, because be where you are at with Mims. And to a certain extent, I'm in the middle. Like I get him not understanding the plays, him not maybe having the best work ethic. Again, Davis insinuated that in an interview. They're saying he doesn't know the full playbook. And again, just simply, Golden broke it down, and we have some of the plays from the Shanahan playbook. Like there's a play where basically if it's like a Tampa 2, the linebacker retreats into the Tampa, he sits it down. If that linebacker sits, he breaks it back outside on like a whip or a pivot. So if he doesn't know the playbook, and now Wilson is expecting him to whip outside because that linebacker sat and he's not good at reading that, now he throws it outside, he's not there, and now the safety picks it off. Like there's like little things like that, like you have to know. But at the same time, do they need to find a way for him on the field? Because there's guys like Ryan Griffin, who I would argue that Mims is a better 1-for-1 blocker, even if he's an inline tight end than Ryan Griffin. He needs to see the field. He's too talented. We saw it last year when he played with Joe Flacco, not Sam Darnold. He was making plays down the field. So
here's the difference. So like Ryan Griffin, he's a liability either in pass pro as a tight end and in run blocking. So he's a huge liability to have on the field. But the difference between he and Mims is while Mims might be a liability because you might expect him to run this route and he's not in the spot where you're expecting him to be. That's very unfortunate for your offense. That fuck things up. But at least Mims has talent. Griffin does not have talent.
Yeah.
So, they're both liabilities, but at least one has the upside, So,
yeah, we have
36 plays versus 0 plays. And I get it. So, and I don't watch special teams as closely as I watch offense and defense. How much does Ryan Griffin play on special teams too? So, that might be also a factor why they might keep him active. Like,
Want to answer this, Kyle? We have a comment. Wilson throws flat-footed and looks scared to step up in the pocket. He's not an NFL player. The fans will not accept him much longer. Did you just see some of the plays? I just put that one play. Like, what do you flat-footed? No. Scared to step up in the pocket? No. He's taken massive amount of hits the last couple of weeks. Like that's stuff I shouldn't even mention.
No. So when you say a quarterback is scared in the pocket, that's a dude who will duck their shoulder and take a sack rather than trying to extend the play. That's someone who's scared to step up in the pocket. You're not seeing that from Wilson. Wilson's like, oh shit, they're fucking here already. Let me try to make some shit happen. Is a big difference. Big difference.
Yeah. Here, hold on. I'll do this. I'll do this one for a guy who's scared in the pocket. You're talking about like the smoothest of this play. Cause I remember this one. Super scared.
Yeah, that's scared. All right. And by the way, his team's getting blown out 26-0 at this point. His team's getting blown 26-0. He could just, I could just slide right here, take the sack at the end of the game, play to the next week. But no, let me slide up, be super smooth. And dude, I mean, that shit right there, that movement ability, that ability to kind of, he's moving to his right, kind of throws across his body a little bit right there. Like that's part of the reason why you draft him where you do, man.
You got to take that to it.
That's sexy right there.
You got to take that to a show, either one without video evidence or two who doesn't know what they're talking about and who'll disagree with you or not answer your question because they don't know what they're talking about. Not here. So moving on.
Joe pulled up that play in a second and disproved you.
Yeah, that he's terrified there taking a hit. So the flat-footed thing. We could talk about the mechanics again, fading out of throws, transitional footwork, maybe, some of that stuff. Okay. That was something that's not necessarily translating from BYU to the NFL, but he's also gotten hit like an ungodly amount of times in his first 3 games. So yeah, he might be a little bit shy right now, but I think once he starts trusting his offensive line, it'll be different. Now, at what point does it become he becomes like not damaged? You know what I'm saying? Like how long does that take? Because they need to fix it quick because
Yes.
he gets sacked 80 times this year. Even just improved their offensive line in 2022 drastically. What's going to happen in terms of his internal clock, etc. So, yes, he's fine. His help is bad right now. So, do we want to hit on anything else on the offense in terms of the skill positions? Again, Jags, Michael Carter, minus a bad stat line and a drop. I actually think he looked pretty good this game. Watching back, Ty Johnson, not it. You know, Tyler Kroft is, I think, an okay number 2, but him as one is a joke. Corey Davis, not a good game. Barrios, not a good game. You'll see the one Wilson throw too. I criticized where he threw it up to Barrios. It's not a good read for him. He had Davis like a pivot or a whip, and he should have just hit it down to him. So I didn't like his process there. And he kind of floats up to Barrios to attack the ball. If the corner looked back at it, it would have probably been a pick or at least a PD. But again, Wilson gets like a C- that game. D+. Skill positions do not help him. Drops, penalties, etc. So with talking about the offense now, Kyle, we can transition into the guy who calls the offense. And one Mr. Michael Lafleur. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been really disappointing so far. And, he is young. He's 34, 2 years older than me. It's kind of crazy to think like, man, like this dude is my brother's age and he's offensive coordinator. And, I think Sean McVay really kind of broke people's brains because when McVay was hired out in LA 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, he was like 30. And a lot of people were like, what are they doing? What are the Rams doing? But, once the game started going, like everybody's like, all right, this guy's the real deal. And a bunch of teams tried to get like this lightning in the bottle of trying to hire the young guys. And even the Jets, that was part of their thinking, like, because Gase, relatively to a lot of other head coaches, was relatively young. Like look at the guy who's going to coach tonight. I always forget his name, but the head coach of the Bengals. Yeah, he's super young. So like a bunch of teams tried going that way. And like, dude, I remember when we hired Lafleur as our offensive coordinator, people already started talking about how long is he going to be the offensive coordinator? Because eventually he's going to take a head coaching job. Like, dude, he hasn't even called any plays in the NFL yet.
Yeah.
And
that could be an oversight by the Jets too, like to pair a rookie OC with a rookie quarterback with a young staff with no backup. Like he's going to the sideline talking like Mike White. And the argument this week was, and I think it was Twitter, like, oh, well, they have Josh Johnson. Yeah, Josh Johnson, who's threw for like 600 yards in his career. That's why you want talking to who? Like, come on, like that's a joke. But continue. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that because he's coming from the Shanahan system, which has been so effective throughout the years.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us kind of assumed like, all right, it's going to be pretty good. And like, okay, maybe he's going to be like a mold of some of the stuff that his brother's doing too. And his brothers obviously had good offenses out in Green Bay.
Yeah.
But it's been disappointing to say the least so far. I know that we were trying to be very sensitive to the situation because, who the hell wants to be Jets fans on air talking about, oh, our season's going to suck because this guy died. Like, that's kind of like a fucked up thing to do. But we also have to question in like, how much is the loss of Knapp kind of really hurt this team too?
It's playing a role. I would imagine. Something in the chat asked about Becton at right guard. You're not putting Becton, who is a top 10-ish left tackle.
Yeah, I saw that too.
At right guard to stunt his growth because GVR sucks. And there was comments, cut GVR again. Oh, with his comments, by the way, I'm sure we could both agree on this, Kyle. He needs to shut the fuck up. Like,
remind me what he said.
Something about like Zach Wilson will learn this is the NFL and he's get the ball out quicker. Like, dude, how about you block better first and don't throw your rookie quarterback under the bus? And then he tries to like, oh, well, it's also the offensive line, everything else first. But like, Wilson's name should not be the first thing in your mouth. So
yeah,
shut the hell up. Go back to the CFL. Do whatever you want to do, but keep Zach Wilson's name out of your mouth, please, GVR, because that drove me crazy.
Yeah, the thing is too, like it was like the first thing he said, so you could kind of tell like that's kind of fresh on his mind, and then the rest, like when he said those other things, this is kind of like him, like, okay, let me do damage control,
trying to rebound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so he could shut the fuck up. But with Lafleur, like we saw that one concept, Kyle, which was like I severely doubt that was the concept.
I agree.
Severely.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Is it player versus who's teaching it? Because was maybe one of the inside guys, was the point supposed to push up the field for a guy to get underneath, whatever it might have been, but who was teaching these guys these routes,
Exactly. And as a teacher, I don't teach football, but I teach, sometimes like if I have several students in class that are like very confused as to what we're doing in class right now, maybe I didn't explain this very well. Maybe it's not the students, maybe it's on me.
And that's exactly why, like, you see players who are like people assume like any player, like Calvin Johnson, he'd be a great receivers coach. He could do it. Can he teach it? There's a difference. There's a big difference. But now with Lafleur, so some of that, obviously you have an issue with the no mims at this point with fucking Griffin. I think seeing 32 reps this game, a joke. The lack of screens, the lack of sweeps, the lack of trying to get it Wilson in a rhythm is a joke. They're not making it easy on him. And
whenever they have run screens, they've been pretty bad. They haven't worked at all.
Yeah, and the one drive we had early second quarter, whatever it was, you saw a lot of like stick concepts, rubs, simple things, and they get away from it. So why not make it easy on him and run some just simple slant flats, smashes, rubs, just the little
kudos to Robbie Sabo. Robbie's been talking about that a lot.
And with that, you have an offense that's predicated on movement with jet sweeps and end arounds. And guess what? We never run jet sweeps or end arounds. So how is it supposed to fake somebody out? At a certain point, they don't freaking ever hand it off. So who cares? The one play, it's third and 3, and you have three guys underneath the sticks, and then you have a 2-man route concept with double digs over the middle. After play action, why not run some rubs? Make it easy on him. The fact that Griffin is seeing 32 reps in a game, again, it's on him. It's a joke. Go more 11 personnel. Adjust. You don't. Oh my God, I'm Shanahan's system. I have to run 12 personnel. Adjust to it. You have more talent at receiver, especially if you bring Mims in than Ryan freaking Griffin. 4th and 1, he went empty. People criticize that. Again, the play worked. Ty Johnson dropped it. Not going to kill him. But again, where are the jet sweeps? Where are the end arounds? Where is Zach Wilson on bootlegs? Where's cutting the field in half? They're trying to make him a traditional drop back 3 to 5 step or even 7-step pocket passer when that's not what he was comfortable with. So now, could he do that in the future? Sure, he could do that in the future, and you want to see that some from him. But again, get him in a rhythm, rubs, bootlegs, sail concepts. Some more RPOs. Just make it simple on him. Keep it simple, stupid, kiss. So thing I almost live by. And he's making it way too complicated on a rookie quarterback. He's just not putting him in an ideal position. So now you have an OC who's not coaching. And I think the Pats game maybe was a little bit overblown because that post wheel was open. Wilson, threw it, bad spot, and maybe you can argue more drifted a little too far to the outside. Mm-hmm. There was that doubles. I think it's a doubles concept where you have the two verts, the seam inside. GVR gets beat. Zach Wilson trying to step up into the pocket. If he sees that, it's probably a touchdown. And cover 2 is a perfect call versus cover 2. So there are some times where he's getting it's put a little bit too much pressure on him or a little bit too much blame on him. This game, not the case. He was not good this game, in my opinion. So you have that paired with a bad offensive line with receivers who this game were dropping balls with a rookie quarterback. That's why the offense is the worst in the NFL right now. So we have to give the O-line more time to develop, to gel. We have to give, hopefully Lafleur more time to get his head out of his ass. Wilson more time to feel comfortable. So it's bad right now. And Lafleur has been a major part of it. And again, to give it away, whatever, for the people who watch the film show, Lafleur is my number 1 dud in this game. And I talked about a lot of the reasons why right there. He was just not good. So there's whoever was asking about Lafleur in the chat saying, are we going to criticize him? So there you go. Any comments, Kyle?
Yeah, and what's interesting is I can't remember who posted about it, but so Lafleur was an offensive coordinator however many years ago at some lower level college football, and they went 0 and whatever. And there is a difference. So you were kind of talking about how they're not running enough end arounds. They've ran a couple, Elijah Moore, and they haven't really been super effective. They didn't run
concussion.
Yeah. Oh man, that sucks. Yeah. And also, could that be considered a helmet-to-helmet hit? I mean, he was a ball carrier. I don't know. Poor Elijah. I hate when players get concussions because I always think of Austin Collie. I know I'm kind of getting off topic now, and like his career was cut short because of concussions. Dude always went over the middle and just another concussion. I just
what about one Mr. Wayne Corbett?
Yeah, well, a little bit before my time when I really started following things closely. But is that why Wayne's career got cut short? Was it because of concussions?
Sure.
I'm curious.
He had like fucking 1,000 of them, like
Jeez.
within like 6 years, 7 years. How long did he play? I could be wrong. Again, that was early 2000s, and I was like 8 years old. But Austin Collie was like early 2000s too, right? Mid 2000s.
No. Collie was playing like 2010, 2011, 2012.
Was it that? Okay, I thought it was like more like mid 2005, 2006s.
You might be thinking of Dallas Clark or something like that, who also played into that time too, but he started a little bit earlier.
Maybe. Okay.
Anyway, but so play calling is kind of like feeling the rhythm of what's working and stuff. And okay, like let me set this up, and then. Because, dude, like play action and end arounds and stuff, like if it is working, defenses have to respect it, but they're not going to respect it if it's not working and you're not running it. And, dude, if like in terms of like motion, having some like BYU had a ton of little things. Like one thing BYU did a lot, and this is not the same as a guy coming in motion at the snap, is they always did this thing where you'd have the tailback and shotgun who'd be to one side of the quarterback, and then they would adjust him, like they would flip him to the other side of the quarterback right pre-snap, and it causes like misreads and stuff for linebackers. Exactly. Yeah. I'd like to do more of that, but Zach did a lot of that, like, and all these guys coming in motion. I mean, and Zach is really good off play action stuff, but you actually do have to hand it off every now and then, and BYU did do a lot of that. I mean, sometimes they're putting like big fat tight ends, like the number 13 Mason Wake, I think it was, for BYU. They'd even give him the ball sometimes. Dude, like Jeff Smith has been active every week, if I'm not mistaken. We saw a lot from him on end arounds. Why not give him a couple end arounds too?
That way you assumed he made the team.
Yeah, that way you could still have Elijah running a route downfield too, considering that both of them are active on game day too. But yeah, his play calling has been lackluster to say the least too. So
yeah, people talk about Mims a little bit again. Like we already kind of mentioned it. I think Carmelo just joined. I think it's a combination, and we'll talk about Maine a little bit too. Obviously, we have that kind of queued up. With Mims again, I think it's not an excuse to have him on the bench while Griffin sees 32 snaps in this game. Now, with that being said, is there also the other side of it where if he doesn't know the routes, if he's not working hard, do they want to play him? Do you want to award that if he's like missing meetings or showing up late and they're just not letting it get out there? No, but at the same time, like it's enough is enough. Like let the guy sink or swim when he's playing these games. I don't know. We're not behind the scenes, Kyle, so it is hard to know. But again, Mims against the Chargers last year, Mims against the Pats would help this team out a hell of a lot, because I said it with Davis. I like Davis. Davis and Mims are really similar builds. And Mims is, if I'm trucking a ball to one guy 40 yards down the field with a guy like completely blanketed him, Mims is the guy on the team to moss somebody. And at this point, we need somebody to moss somebody.
All right. So let's think about this Broncos game for a moment. Forget running the whole route and stuff like that. But at the point in which Zach is ready to throw the ball, where Surtain is over the top, who would you rather have in that position? Denzel Mims or Corey Davis? And Corey Davis was in front of Surtain. He had the ability to go up and get. I'm not going to act like it was an easy catch to make.
Yeah.
But do you think Mims makes that catch?
Mm-hmm.
I think he does. So
Renaud is saying BYU players didn't vote for Zach as a captain again. Research. He was competing with another quarterback for the starting quarterback job, and they didn't want to vote somebody captain who was competing for the job. They let him compete for the job. Then he was like unanimously voted for captain right after he was given the starting job. So it's not like they just do your research again. That's just you gotta with the dome. Just think, just research, type. It's out there. That his coach said that. So it's not because he was whatever. Davis was slow to that ball. He has to attack. He can't freaking be catching with his body. And a couple of catches too. Like he's. I'm trying to think of. I'm blanking out. Typically he attacks the ball. And, okay. So some of the catches, I think the one deep, Wilson rolls out, throws the ball. Great footwork, zips it. Davis extends to the ball, and it looks like the corner. I can't tell exactly because it's like frame by frame. It gets a little blurry.
Yeah.
It looks like he chops on his arm, so that might have disconnected from the ball.
Towards the end of the game, right?
No, this is the one early. This is like the one that was deep down the field, and Davis drops it. Not an easy catch to make. And I'm not one of those guys who says, okay, it hits your fingers, it hits your hands, you got to catch it bullshit, because it's not true. With that being said, you got to catch that. It's in both your hands. You got to tuck it. You got to have that hand strength to grip it.
The ball was pretty high, but like Davis had him totally boxed out. Like if we're talking about basketball, like Corey Davis totally has the defender boxed out. It should be his rebound, so to speak. You know,
it's he's 6'3", 215, 220, whatever he is. Like that's his ball. But
he's a physical dude. But Mims is definitely more of a jumper. He's definitely got longer arms. You know, so
and his ability to catch outside of his frame is ridiculous. Like some of those catches he was making last year. We need him on the field.
And by the way, guys, just be very clear about what we're saying. If Mims truly is struggling with the playbook, which I really do assume that he is, we're not saying that he should be on the field for a huge percentage of the snaps, but we are saying, like, what are we doing that we have Ryan Griffin taking 36 snaps or whatever it was, and Denzel Mims is inactive? Like, that is retarded. It just is.
Hard R, Kyle. Hard R.
You know, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to say it.
Okay, so
if your YouTube channel gets a strike, I'll pay you some money.
$20.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, man.
Yeah, CD knock on Davis was his hands coming out of college. I don't necessarily remember that one. And two, his hands were not bad last year. They just weren't. Again, what was it? The two last games, the Packers and the Texans. Multiple times he was going to turn to run before he caught the ball and he just dropped it. No skills. Appreciate that. Is that European? $20. Appreciate you.
So.
Yeah, I think so. Appreciate you a lot. Again, I try to get to some of the chat, but it's hard when you're talking. Remember Lafleur's giant monitor on Flight Plan? Yes. When you watch the tape on that beast, I bet it looks like your play calling is creating separation for wide receivers just fine. I just wanted to support dad jokes. The price you pay. No, that is good.
That is pretty funny.
I don't want to explain why.
I don't really remember how big his monitor was, to be honest. How big was it?
It was like it had to be like 50, 60 inches. I think
you still got him beat then. Your TV.
Mine's 75 downstairs. Can somebody find that? Can somebody send me a link in that? I want to put that up on the screen just because Nose Kills put that up and he deserves it because he gave us a $20 super chat. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Nose Kills.
Yeah. How's the worst lineman? Yeah, Carmelo, you got here late. We shit on Greg Van Roten. He again, sorry, shut the fuck up. And I think his Wilson's completion percentage right now is 55%, but adjusted without drops, it's like 70. So you'd assume some drops, but he should be like mid 60s right now. Like everybody's dropping balls. Everybody. It's crazy.
And we're talking like third down plays too and stuff. It's like, dude, okay. Like there's a reason third down is called the money down. Like if some of those guys catch some of those balls on third down, all of a sudden you get a brand new set of plays to run more. And, you know, Zach could kind of get in a rhythm more, build some confidence. And, you know, you could be talking about a very different stat line towards the end of the game, you know? So those drops are big, man. A lot of the stuff that this game came at such inopportune times, like it might've been third down where we have the big pass interference on Eccles, which he still claims is not a pass interference. I don't know. I didn't run a replay of the broadcast to really kind of see. He says he was looking for the ball, you know, like you said, the delay of game on the field goal. You know, a lot of the stuff just happened at very inopportune times too. Oh, wow. Dude. That's funny.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Massive.
On his
and he has a computer
desk.
next to it. Yep. There you go. I had to find it. That's like funny. third downs, like, you know, like that again, that Davis, if he catches that ball, you're like the 15-yard line. So going back, there's a comment. Renald, you're completely lost on Wilson. You just think he's like a rich white boy who didn't work hard. And people are like, oh, he didn't work hard in college. He was doing DoorDash like after college football practice. Like you're again, McGovern up and down.
And dude, and people so people want to spin this like entitled narrative thing too, dude. Like, and these are a little bit overrated. So like what somebody says versus what they do. But listen to Zach's post-game press conferences. Like after the 4-interception game against the Patriots, like I don't think my dad's listened to a lot of Zach Wilson. So, my dad went to the game with me. On the drive home, we were listening to Zach's post-game press conference. And there's no, make no bones about it. Zach played bad in that game. He played bad. And my dad saw how bad that was. My dad listened to that post-game press conference. He's like, this kid's really accountable. Like he is saying everything you need to say.
Yeah.
Like I think this kid's going to be good. That's straight up what my dad said. My dad's not a Jets fan, right? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? Like he's entitled and stuff. Talk about like the way that he's always holding himself accountable first.
There's two things about Wilson too. Here is Wilson not being a captain isn't an issue, but him not being a clear starter at BYU it's because he was injured. That's why he wasn't the starter. And we had another comment who said we should have taken a bigger quarterback because Wilson's going to break apart this year or whatever. So we're going to take a quarterback we don't like as much because we want a bigger quarterback because the offensive line's not good. So we're going to take a lesser of a product. Like guys, like
the logic on that is all sorts of dumb.
Just take like 15 seconds, like say to yourself what you're saying, and then think about it logically, and then don't type it. Like, I'm sorry.
Hey, we should take Jamarcus Russell because Jamarcus Russell's big, man.
Dude, Mac Jones is bigger than Zach Wilson. We should have taken Mac Jones at 2.
And what is this shit where some people are already calling him like the next star or whatever? I'm sorry. In terms of regular season games, I have not really seen any wow throws from Mac Jones. And dude, he should have had at least one interception. That ball that he threw in the green zone against us week 2, that should have been picked by May and Eccles over the top. I mean, that was a bad throw, bad decision. Like, so he barely ever pushed the ball downfield. And when he did, it was a horrible read, not even a great throw, should have been picked off. It's like, what are we talking about? The boy star or whatever.
And his average depth of target against the Jets was like 2 to 4 yards, something like that. And then last game, he actually had to push the ball down the field and he looked terrible. And yes, Russ Sharp, to your question right there. We'll get to somebody talking about somebody asked about Eccles and that pass interference. I thought the pass interference was a little bit soft, to be honest, because we can talk about that. But we'll move from the front to the back.
Sometimes with those, you really need to rewatch the broadcast angle of it to kind of see exactly, okay, where's this guy's arm located and stuff. And I didn't rewatch the broadcast angle of it. So
I watched the film and like he was over top of it. He was looking back. He peeked back for the ball twice. And then like when they come to the catch point, like you have Sutton's eyes who are not back on the ball and Sutton seemingly pushing Eccles like vertically and never targeting the ball. So if he's pushing him out of the way, why is it a PI on Eccles? Like it was soft. I get it because it's the NFL nowadays, but that's not a terrible play on Eccles. And Eccles, that one play too, I think it's like a cover 3 or 6, whatever it is. To his side, it's a 3. And I don't like his bail in terms of like letting the receiver get behind him. But then he sees the crosser coming and he jumps it. He needs to make that play, that interception.
The one where Hamler got hurt, right?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Echo was host on.
Hosed.
Oh, okay. Hosed. Yeah. Okay. So let's go front to back and we'll talk about the Titans game. We'll what's it called? Address the chat a little bit more. Okay. How Jonathan on QB over Wilson legit, all rookie quarterbacks are struggling around. Like Joe said, use your dome, people. Yeah, bus. Okay, so defensive line. Thoughts, comments, concerns. There's no concerns. I don't think. The one thing I can say is, and not to bring us back down to depression. And before I say that, actually, 120 people in here, 2 super chats. I appreciate you guys. I know it's not easy. 125.
And they were nice super chats too.
Again, I don't always ask for likes. Like it helps us out with the algorithm and all that stuff. And you guys are dedicated. I appreciate you guys listening to us. Again, we're relatively new. We've only been here for like a little bit over a year or like a year and a half now, actually. So we're going to continue to grow. So I appreciate all the support. I really do. Snoopy, Renaud, even though Renaud, I don't agree with all their stuff. Bus, Mike, Q, Pete Freno said, what's up? What's up, Pete? Nix, everybody. Love you guys. Well, yeah, I do. I love our listeners. Ryan Gallagher, Jets win the next.
You definitely do. You're freaking doing 4-hour live streams at 4 a.m. and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Defensive line would be nice to have Carl Lawson here with them because they'd be dominating.
Oh, yeah.
I think with Carl Lawson back next year, I think they might re-sign Shaq Lawson. If you have Lawson, Huff, JFM, Rankins, Q, pretty damn good defensive line. And by the way, Kyle, JFM's playing pretty well at edge. So would you still keep him inside and then have Rankins off the field for Curry? Are you going to retract that yet or no? We still want to work on that because Rankins had that play, which by the way, he absolutely same thing he does. He did it with the Saints. Shortens his stride, reads the guard or the center, whoever splashes him, trucks him over, hits Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater, clear intentional grounding. It's not called because we're the freaking Jets. How is that not an intentional grounding? He wasn't even looking that way, and he throws the ball a half a yard to the ground. But it's not a sack. Yeah. It's not intentional grounding. Like bullshit. Absolutely. Again, I said it in the review. If that's the Pats, if that's the Packers, if that's the Ravens, if that's the Chiefs, that's the Bucks, if that's the Rams, intentional grounding. But it's dude. Seriously, they get no calls. And I don't like to pull that card, but like, what the hell?
Yeah, I know that people always kind of like think, oh, the refs were against us. Like every team kind of thinks that way, but just really trying to sit back and look at these things objectively, it does seem like a lot of calls really haven't gone the Jets' way. I mean, like we're even talking about the Patriots game that we were at, Joe. Like, what the fuck was the deal with that fumble? Like early in the game, like we really got kind of screwed there. Now maybe they blew the whistle a little early.
No. I watched it on broadcast immediately after. They blew the whistle, and we couldn't as Marcus Knight is like hovering over, and they couldn't chat. Like the ball was so clearly out when they blew the whistle. It was a joke that they could not review. Like that was such a badly blown call, and then the holdings.
And like, that's a game changer. Plays, we're talking the first drive, we get the ball in like the green zone or whatever.
Elijah Moore, helmet to helmet. If he's a better receiver, not the Jets, is that an unnecessary roughness? Like what? Like what?
Yeah, and have there been any roughing the passer penalties on Zach yet? I don't think there's been one. It has been. I'm asking a question.
Yeah. I know. I don't.
And there were a couple times where it's like, oh man, like that could have been like. And I'm thinking about one from this Broncos game. I can't remember exactly who it was that hit him, but like it was kind of like a late hit. And I'm like, dude, this is a young quarterback.
The one I just showed before, where he threw it to Barrios. He got hit like the guy took like 2 steps after. If that's Brady, if that's Mahomes. It's a penalty. By the way, I was talking about those rankings play.
Yeah. And dude, so all right. So if you're like kind of new to watching film, like it's easy to post like a video of a guy like just knocking another dude on his ass. But in actuality, he tripped either over one of his offensive linemen or a running back or something like that. Dude, this is just a special play by Rankins. This guard, I think it's Glasgow. He's not tripping over anybody, man. Like he just underestimated how quick Rankins was. Didn't think Rankins would get to him that quick and splash his chest. Rankins got his chest and just put him for a ride, man.
no intentional ground. Like what is like, absolute joke.
So to answer your question, that Verge also said he agreed with me, but you're making some good points. Like, yeah, I think I probably would retract that. And damn, man, like I really wish we did have Curry this year too. Like another injury, like it would be nice to see him on some third downs and stuff. But yeah, man, JFM has been pretty good on the edge. And dude, he bullies the shit out of tight ends, man. Like, and I get it. Any, like guy his size should beat the shit out of tight ends, man. But dude, put on the tape. And I'm not saying that Hunter Henry is like a blocking tight end. He's definitely more of a receiving tight end. But that entire game against the Patriots, he's bullying the shit out of Hunter Henry. And I'm talking, when I say bullying, like I'm talking about like, Henry's a tight end in line. And like JFM is like just destroying him in the backfield and bringing him like all the way to the quarterback and stuff. And it's happening like all game. So JFM is definitely good. Like the thing about him that you have to love is you can put him anywhere on that D line and he's really effective. And just because of personnel that we have this year, we haven't seen him as much where he is more effective. He is more effective inside, but just because of where we're at personnel wise right now, we're not even seeing that, but he's still super disruptive.
We had Mike, another from chat. Mike, you're the man. He says Kyle retracts, which was a massive argument between us. So I'm glad that you retract. It's okay. We're not going to let it blow over. But dude, I was thinking about like we were talking about the penalties. Like again, I was like, how many steps did he actually take? And I watched it while you were talking, dude. Literally 1, 2, lunge, hit. Anybody else? Is this a penalty? Hell freaking yeah.
Tom Brady,
Like,
that's most.
Tom Brady
100% that's a
gets
penalty.
tapped in the face mask and it's a penalty. Like, how is this not a penalty? It's lit up after the play. Like, dude,
Yeah.
like they don't get called. They just do not get calls. They're not going to get calls until they're good. Like when it was like 2009, 2010 Jets, like we got maybe some calls that we shouldn't have. But like that, like there's so many plays on a game-to-game basis. That's just an absolute joke. So
That's funny. So the real question is, does Mike give the super chat if I don't retract? That's funny.
If I retract, maybe if I retracted, he would still. I don't know.
If you retract, as stubborn as you are, he's giving $100.
Dude, listen, with that statement, with that argument, I wasn't stubborn. I was just clearly right because now we see. Because again, Sheldon Rankins is pretty good and JFM is pretty good at edge. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
NFL is so rigged.
By the way, in this game, Rankins had one or two really nice spin moves, man. He's got a really nice spin move on the inside.
And this is what I was saying when we had the discussion about him too. I was saying that he was playing a low percentage of snaps. Like even Q, I think Q played like 50% of the snaps last game or something around 50%, and he still had a sack and a half. Rankins, he got injured in 2018, 2019. He was like out most of the year, came back for a couple of games. 2020, low snap percentage, but when I was watching him play, I was like, he has some of that 2018 explosion. He might not be 100% of what he was in 2018, but he is like 90% of that. Like I do feel like he's that good of a player, and I'm happy we have him next to Q next year as well. With my thing is too, okay. So past Sheldon Rankins, past Q played well. Fadokasi. I'll get to the super chat. I think Fadokasi, really good game. I put it as my third stud. And now I'm blanking out because Mike got me. Mike just made me lose it. But yeah,
So I think you were going along the line.
Okay, yeah. Fadokasi, hell of a game. Now the question kind of folded into that is, with Fadokasi playing really, really well and creating pressure, pushing the pocket, all this stuff, and with JFM playing well, do you extend these guys? Like, when does that happen? Because JFM is gone next year, and Fadokasi, I think, is gone next year if you don't re-sign them. So are you looking at signing these guys now? Because listen, Fadokasi is like a heavier reincarnated Steve McClendon in terms of like his leadership and how he talks, apparently. And JFM is like one of those, again, criticized Joe Douglas for a lot of stuff. He's one of those pickups that we made who's turning out to be a legit NFL rusher, but people aren't going to talk about that. Do you look to resign these guys like ASAP? And by the way, before we get to that, Mike says 100 Joe retracts, but Joe's usually right. Appreciate that. Just feed the ego. Sun Moon Rise. What's up, man? I haven't seen you in here a little bit, but I know who you are. Great job, guys. No question. Just a big thank you for your analytical work from Germany. What's up? Yeah.
It's got the Mortal Kombat symbol. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Summer, I used to talk to you more. I don't know if it was on this or like Twitter, but I haven't seen you in a while. So what's up? I haven't seen you in a little bit, so I appreciate that. Yeah, and Verge brings up a good point too of like the leader that Rankins is. Mike says sign Fadokasi now. Same with JFM. What do you think, Kyle?
What was the question? Sorry, I was reading what Verge said and I didn't hear the question.
How quick do you look to
resign
these guys? Like, I think they do it now. Like, they just get it done.
Yeah, I would because all right, and especially after this Marcus May bullshit, like with his agent, like clearly his agent's being a dick. And
yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
I brought that up when we were doing streams last season. His agent was talking shit on Twitter, which that just seems really unprofessional. Like, how many other agents are talking shit on Twitter to try to get your way? Like, it doesn't seem like a good way of negotiating unless you really just want him out of there. But I don't know. It just seems like you're a joke of an agent if that's your strategy.
He's a clown. Like that's you're a professional, and that's the way you're managing your agents, is to say, okay, just in time for that, and like a handshake emoji. Like, dude, super professional.
Yeah, so something like that just leads me to believe that, okay, re-signing Marcus May is not going to be a thing.
And to further expand upon that, sorry, Kyle, it's Mike again, buttering up in case I get in trouble if you need a cop help. Mike, hey, appreciate all the super chats, my friend. It's like $40 today, so Mike's killing it. Mike's big dicking it today. But I keep getting on something, and I see Mike's super chats, and it's just destroying me. With May. Now, if he wants to get traded, which it seems like he does, and there's some rumors that we'll hit on the D-line after this. I guess we kind of steered into May. If he wants to get traded, go privately and say he wants to trade, because now with him doing all this handshake emoji, like stuff that like it puts out to agents or teams like, oh, he wants to be traded. Now, guess what? The Jets get lower capital for a trade. Now they're less inclined to trade him. So if anything, get capital for them so they can trade him. One, and
Good
two,
point.
there's been some rumors floating around. I'm not going to say who, what, when, where, why, that Marcus May might not have an ankle injury. And after the 0-3 start, he just wants to sit down and he wants to get traded. That's been floated out there. I'm not saying from who, what, when, where, why.
And by the way, align that up, what you just said, with the preseason film of Marcus May against the Packers, where you were saying, what is May doing here? He's not putting forth good effort to make this tackle where the Packers had like a lot of good runs and stuff. I think it was the Packers game, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Is this a business decision? He straight up said that. Is this a business decision? So, and by the way, he's good buddies with Jamal Adams, who
I'm sure their conversation about the Jets are glowing reviews about the Jets. But so I think, listen, get rid of him. If he doesn't want to be here, this is what you do. You re-sign JFM, you trade May, everybody's pissed, and then you re-sign Foley Fatukasi right after that, and people forget about it. Because, listen, May is 29 years old. We talked about the whole contract situation, how much he wanted. For the Jets to re-sign Marcus May, it had to make financial sense where it'd be less than the franchise tag, because the Jets can take, I forget the numbers are, a $10 million franchise tag this year. Again, I forget the numbers, and a $13 million, $15 million one next year. That equals $25 million. So now if Marcus May is asking for 3 years, $30 million guaranteed, or 3 years, $15 million a year, $30 million guaranteed or whatever, like that's way too high. Like it needs to be lower than the franchise tag for it to make sense for the Jets. So they weren't going to re-sign him. And now his agent's talking shit. He's going to be 29 years old. Get rid of him. Kyle, we trade him. We agree. What's the price you think we get for Marcus May? And then, by the way, safety is a massive need next year, because I don't want it to be Adrian Colbert and Ashton Davis next year. So that's like, I think after May is traded, which I think he will be, it's probably safety, number one need. I would say linebacker, corner, edge on defense.
That sounds about right. Just
because they need linebackers, dude. Like Davis, like they have nobody. Like you saw how Quincy Williams played last week. Not good. Sherwood, whatever.
He's been playing for multiple weeks now.
Yeah, they need a linebacker, but a safety first, linebacker, then a corner. But like again, with corners, you have Carter and Guidry as your slot. Like Carter's been balling out, dude. Carter's been balling out. Hall looks like a good number 2. And then you bring in a number 1 next year, free agency, whatever it might be. But sorry, I'm going to a lot of different directions. Let's hit safety first.
Yeah, you're asking a lot of questions that I'm not going to answer. In terms of what they could get from May, a lot of that would kind of depend on how desperate the team is that's trying to trade for him. I could see you getting like a 4th-ish rounder, but it would be really tough to see them getting any higher than that.
Okay. I am leaning more towards like a 3rd, to be honest. And this is more of
mid-season though.
This is more of faith in Joe Douglas, dude. Like I'm not like some of the trades he's pulled off, like sending like a 6th or a 7th for Marcus May, like a 3rd, or for May, like a 6th or 7th for like a 3rd. I can see them doing that. I really can. And I think it would have to be a team who is like in contention, who might be seeing some struggling safety plays. Like they might see, okay, our safety sucks. Marcus May is a solid player. Let's bring him in. They're a little bit desperate, whatever it may be. Now, for people talking about Marcus May, my opinion has been out there for 2 years on him. I think he's good. I do not think he's great. I think he's solid. He has mental lapses that people do not see, missed tackles, etc. He's a solid player, but people are talking about like, oh, Marcus May is the 7th best safety in the NFL. Give him $15 million. He's better than Jamal Adams. Not because of this is coming out. Listen, we're recorded for hours and hours a week. No, he's not better than Jamal Adams. He's not fetching 2 first-round picks or maybe even a 2nd or whatever. Obviously, the contract situations are different when they're traded for, but Marcus May is solid. So, but if he wants out, he wants out. We don't want that in the locker room. So it might not help the locker room now that seeing one of your defensive leaders is asking to get out, you trade him. But that's why you re-sign JFM and Foley Fatukasi.
Was he ever a captain with the Jets?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'm sure some of the people in the chat know everything, so the people in the chat might know.
Yeah, so ask people that because I'm curious about that. I don't think he was.
People in the chat, was he ever captain?
Now you were asking about Fatukasi and JFM. Yeah, so if you're trading May, it obviously makes it easier to re-sign both of them. Yeah, I would definitely re-sign both of them. I would try to get deals done as soon as I possibly could. Yeah. And there's incentive for them as players. Listen, if I was a player and I really liked where I was, now JFM, like, okay, the Jets took a chance on me because I was cut by the Rams, let go by the Rams. Fatukasi was drafted by the Jets. He was a late round draft pick. I know it wasn't by this current regime, but still. If I was a player, I I know that, like, so for example, take TJ Watt, for example. Apparently he overruled his agent and said, but agent's like, oh no, you can get more money. Just hold out, be patient, be patient. TJ Watt's like, no, season's about to start. I'm going to sign.
No,
I think if I was a player, I would just be like, if I was genuinely happy, I think I would be willing to take a deal in the season, because you never know what could happen. One play in a split instance can change everything. And you might never have that opportunity to make that kind of money ever again. So I would definitely re-sign both of them, though. I mean, like Fatukasi, like we talked about it before, the only nose that I can think of that is better than him is Vita Vea. And he's a kind of a whole different animal, and he's also a better pass rusher than Fatukasi. But Fatukasi, I would strongly assume, is probably the second best in the league. If someone else can think of someone else who's out there who's better, put it in the chat.
What are you willing to pay him? Like, what are you willing to pay these guys? Like, in a ball, I hate answering those questions, Kyle, so it's unfair to you. I'm not going to answer back, but what do you?
And that would be tough to answer off the top of my head. But I'll try to give it a shot. I would say with Fatukasi, I would assume he'd probably get maybe a little bit less than 10 million a year on average, because he's a nose. Like what noses are making more than that?
I don't think many. Yeah, I think that's a good range. Like 8 to 10 million. I would say like 8-9 million. I would say.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
And then what do you think for JFM?
JFM, you're gonna have to give big money to him, that's for sure. And then you're also gonna have to think, okay, well, Quinnen's coming around. JFM, you'd probably have to offer him somewhere around 15 or something like that.
I was going to say, I think like 12 to 15. But the thing with JFM is the only way that the Jets can get a little bit cheaper from that is, again, he
hasn't made big money already.
Well, he hasn't made big money already. He minus the freaking Mike again. Love it, Mike. I'll go. Just got called from fraud protection about the super chats. That's great. Hey, they can call you again. I'm cool with it. Hey, Grady Jarrett's more of a D tackle than a nose, though. Swolesy. Yeah, Mike. I, again, really appreciate you. Obviously.
Dude, Swolesy, Grady Jarrett, and Fatukasi are completely different players.
Yeah, probably completely different. The thing with JFM again is, if you're just looking, people get paid on stats. Sometimes they really do. So if you're going to argue like JFM, like what, 4 sacks last year, 2 sacks so far this year, like, is he worth $15 million? That's like a little bit high for me. I would be more comfortable like right around like 13 million. But if you could say, okay, if I told you right now, okay, Foley, 3 or 4 years, 27 million guaranteed, or like 25, whatever, like $9 million a year for him, let's just say 2-3 years guaranteed. JFM, $14 million a year, 2 years guaranteed. Like, are you cool with those deals? I'm wondering if people in the chat too. 15's a little bit high for me for JFM. I would say I'm right around like the 12, 13, I think, for him. Like, I like him a lot, but he needs to prove it more consistently right now. So that's why we want to lock him down early before he continues to produce.
Yeah, I do think that based on, where he was drafted, his overall talent level and stuff, and the fact that there is still a relatively small sample size in comparison to some other guys, it does seem a little rich. But if I'm JFM, and I've clearly, because here's the thing, Joe, that versatility means something, and he's playing a lot of edge this year, and he's also winning off the edge, and edge players get paid big. He's gonna be like, you're offering me 12, I'm gonna get way more next year. Like, why would he be incentivized to take something like 12? I don't think he would, to be honest. So that's the thing.
Yeah, and Leonard Williams, after a solid year, just got paid $21 million by the Giants. Like, I like Leo more than other people do, but $21 million, whatever it is that's crazy for what he is. 11 million, 3 years.
By the way, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Quinnen right now? It's ups and downs. Quinnen, like, we're 3 weeks in. You said he's elite. What are you seeing right now? Because right now I'm seeing there are some. Okay.
First 2 games, again, like, I think people have to, like, not saying you necessarily, but maybe you have to be a little bit realistic in terms of guy had no preseason, guy had no off season, guy's coming off of ankle surgery. His first 2 games, might he start a little bit slow? I get it. It's like he was dreadful. Like, he was okay in those games. So now week 3, getting into the field of it a little bit more, not playing a ton of reps, gets a sack and a half, couple of pressures, and like 2 or 3 really, really nice run stuff. So like last game, he looked like Quinnen of last year, and now he just needs to consistently stack those games and get healthy. Like he played 50% of the snaps last game, and he got a sack and a half and like at least 2 run stuffs. So I think he looked really good last game.
Yeah, he definitely looked a lot better. And for me, like he's kind of like a little bit like of a roller coaster with me. Like, maybe I'm exaggerating because there's a lot more highs than lows for sure. But sometimes, like, I don't know if you have this play queued up where it was like some type of combo block between Garrett Bowles and the left guard.
The sack. It was like a gimme sack a little bit.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like he completely got blown out of his gap.
No, I don't.
I would pull up the play, but I don't have sharing privileges right now.
You're not allowed.
And he's not super big, and this is like, and if I could show that play right now, this would be like sometimes I question his play strength a little bit, but there are some times too where the way that he just can manipulate offensive linemen, where like he's flashing his head in one gap and then he can just. The way he's so quick with his arm overs and stuff, and like
pulling himself through and stuff.
Yeah, and you kind of have it like in your like where he arm over multiple moves stacked into one. Like he's really, really good at that.
Yeah.
But there's just sometimes where I'm like, man, like he just completely got washed out of that gap, where it leaves me scratching my head a little bit, and that's kind of like I was always a little bit like, is he really elite? Are we really sure about that?
It's. Now, him being like 300 pounds, is it, are you looking at it with like, not, what's the word, like a bias? Like how many 300-pound linemen can hold up against a good combo block? Like it's really, really hard.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So yes, you want to say, okay, he should beat that all the time, but at a certain point, like how much are you really expecting him? You just want to see him hold up, but whatever. Moving on.
So you said that. Then you want to start like inside out. So we want to talk about linebackers now.
I was going to go to something else. Somebody mentioned.
Go ahead. You go to wherever you think.
Yes. No. Somebody mentioned here something about trading down and keeping. Joe, the problem with trading down and saying to keep Sam and build the team more or whatever, and then get a quarterback next year is who is that quarterback? Tell me right now. Go ahead. Who is the number 2 quarterback, number 1 quarterback next year? Who you're confident in right now? Go. You cannot guarantee that guy's going to be there. You don't know if he's going to drop. You don't know if he's going to get injured. So you have to take what's in front of you at the quarterback position. You can't say, oh, just push quarterback off to next year. You just got to take them when they're there. The Jets were not planning to be the number 2 pick, the number 1 pick in the draft this year. So they couldn't guarantee themselves one of these guys, number 1 or 2. Oh, well, just straight up. Who's to say the number 1, 2 team don't need quarterbacks? So you can't just say, oh, get quarterback later. It's not a position you do that to. So no, do not keep Sam. It was the right move to get Wilson. Continue to build around him. You just can't no, but sorry, yeah. Go Kyle.
Oh, Tommy's like, is it me or is it Kyle talking in circles? LOL. Tommy, I kind of am, to be honest. And part of that is this internal conflict that I have with Quinnen Williams, where I really like him on the one hand, but he's the 3rd overall pick. And the Jets are going to come to a decision where they're going to have to pay him probably huge, huge, huge money. And I kind of just question, is he really worth it? And I sometimes wonder, is he as good as, we think he is? And I don't know if you're new to the show, but Joe and I have kind of gone back on this player sometimes. So, and I see a lot of positives and negatives from him. So yeah, I am talking in circles because I'm confused about the player.
We had somebody comment about the Wilson thing and saying that they took an undersized quarterback who's throwing versus air. Okay, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and to say he was throwing versus air, you didn't watch the film because he threw in 1,000 tight windows. So again, that's just a blanket. That's not an argument. You're just saying stuff to say it. That's not bad. But okay, linebackers, Mosley, minus what looked like to me a blown coverage by him, and then a play on the goal line where he over pursued and kind of got an arm tackle broken from him. He looked good. The first week, I thought he looked solid. Second week, really, really good. This game, really good again. That one play on like that G lead that I put up on the goal line, absolutely smacked Melvin Gordon on the goal line. So I think Mosley is Mosley. Like Mosley is what we were expecting when we signed him. So I think, like I said before the season, I think he's gonna be in that top 10-ish range, and I think he's been about that. I know like PFF and ESPN stats and info are rating him not so good. I don't know what they look at with linebackers specifically, because that's probably the worst position they rank. But Mosley's been really good. So Mosley
Here's
good.
another thing I want to know with data, Joe. Like, I think about this from time to time on my own. I want to know what you think. Like, so I know that PFF's model is like, okay, one big play can kind of skew your perception of a player. Like if he makes a big hit, automatically you think he's great, but you got to look at the totality of them every snap. But if we're talking about like something like coverage, especially like take a safety, for example, there's a lot of plays where I don't want to say they don't do much, but in essence, they're not doing all that much. Like that, a model like that, like a PFF model, you almost kind of have, like, take, for example, people are putting out like a lot of video clips of this center from Iowa, and
Linderbaum, I think.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I have no clue what his name is.
I don't look at the draft stuff to like January.
I don't even remember what the run concept was, but he's pulling and getting out in space, and he gets all the way to this, and he probably blocks 3 dudes on the play. He moves amazingly and stuff, and it's like that play right there. That is an amazing play. But when you put that in a stat sheet, PFF, how does their system, like a play like that, that could be a game-changing play. Like if he's cutting off 3 dudes on a block, getting out in space, and he springs a long run for a touchdown, but then you try to put that in an analytic stat sheet, and okay, it's slightly better than some of the other plays. How does that affect someone's grade? It probably doesn't move their grade all that much, but in the grand scheme of things, that is a game-changing type play where it should probably get like bigger percentage. And I know PFF does things like big time throws and stuff where it goes as like a little extra percentage point in their grade, but I don't know, man. Like, so
I'm not
going to the CJ Mosley thing. Like he's had a couple special plays, like that goal line run fit hit. Like that is a special play right there. And you know, like you brought up, like when was it our last live stream? Yeah, I think it was in the Carolina game where he's mugging the A gap, and then he drops into coverage and gets like a pass deflection or breaks up the play on the tight end. Like those are really big plays. Do you just mark that down in the stat sheet as like, okay, that's a positive play? Or but something like that, like it should get like a much bigger. So I don't know like how some of these grades and stuff work out, because when you watch the guy, and we both watch him really closely, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a really good linebacker.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
We don't look at, that's why we don't really, how much stock do we really pour into that? Like we don't, and there's a reason why we don't. RJ MacPot 720 super chat. Appreciate you. Said, would you give up a 2023 first? So your first few picks in the 2022 draft looks like Linderbaum, Green, Neal, Weidemeyer.
I'm
assuming these are Evan Neal, Linderbaum's the center, right? I think Green's not. So I appreciate it. And with the draft, I tend to not veer away from it, but I tend to stay away from it for a while. And the perfect example I bring up, and you can bring up a ton of guys. I'll bring up consistently because I don't know who hears it. Sean Wade, last year, top 15 pick at corner. What happened? He started to suck during the season, and then he went in the 5th round or the 6th round. So for me to look into guys this early, to say that Neal or Linderbaum, yeah, maybe right now, like Wyatt Davis was supposed to be like a top 20 pick. He fell into what, the 2nd or 3rd round. So like, you never know where guys are going to be. So with ignoring the names, do I want to trade a 2023 first if it's for an offensive lineman? Like maybe, but with the names you're saying, I haven't looked into them enough to tell you, because I could tell you, oh yeah, I know what everybody on Twitter says about Neal, and I can go and watch him and be like, dude, I don't want this guy in the top 10, the top 15. So I haven't watched names enough to give you a strong answer. Now, with that being said, the top 4 picks they have, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, should 2 of those most likely be offensive linemen, and heavily depending on what happens with Fant and Moses in the future. Yes, but again, I'm kind of like copying out of that answer, but I don't know enough about those guys to give you a strong opinion. I'm not the type to do that. So.
Yeah, in terms of future draft questions for upcoming drafts, really should probably hold off on asking questions like that until we can maybe even start to get an idea of some of these players.
Which if we draft one of them, you'll get a whatever. And it's one of the guys in the chat who's been talking about Zach Wilson saying something like answer us. He's not Mahomes. Also, remember he played against weak competition in a COVID year. Okay, so did Drew Brees against Purdue. So did Mahomes with Texas Tech. So did all these. So did was it Eli with Ole Miss? Like, well, not Ole Miss necessarily, but like again. So I'm not just saying things to say them. Perfect. I have 7-8 hours of film on Zach Wilson. Go watch those plays and then tell me where I'm wrong on the play, where it wasn't a tight window throw, where I'm wrong on this, wrong on that. We can debate like that, but just say blanket statements like, oh, he played weak competition, he's not good. Okay, then why was Drew Brees a success? Why was Aaron Rodgers playing with? Did he play with Cal? Was it Cal?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Zach Cal. Yep.
Okay. Why was he a success? Why was Mahomes playing Texas Tech competition a success? Why was Steve Young at BYU a success? So don't just give me that. That's just a weak argument. I'm sorry, it is. So you got to get called on that. It just I hate seeing that stuff. Josh Allen at Wyoming, another good one. Ethan, like there's plenty of guys. If Trey Lance is successful, Justin Fields at Ohio State had it much easier than Zach Wilson did. Look at his highlight tape. Look how many open windows Justin Fields is thrown into with plenty of time in the pocket. And Zach Wilson had time in the pocket too, but Zach Wilson's making tight throws between two guys where Justin Fields is hitting guys who are wide open on a post route with nobody within 20 yards of them. So like just because he's playing a better team or whatever, like because he's playing at Ohio State, but he's playing like Grambling State, that means he's better throwing wide open posts where Zach Wilson's fitting in on the sideline and an out route between curl the flat and a high safety. Like what are we? That's not Mosley.
Can I say something about Zach and the whole? I put out like a couple tweet thread probably like a month or two ago, and I just tried to search it really quick and I couldn't. So maybe I'll retweet it tomorrow or whatever. But there is something I want to say about Zach. So he shouldn't be knocked just because he went to a small school, because I think players like Josh Allen have proven like, okay, just because you go to a smaller school where you face your interior competition does not mean that you can't be a good pro. Clearly it doesn't. But there is something that you can take out from there. Like the truth is that Zach was throwing against corners and linebackers that are a lot slower. Like if Zach was playing in the Big Ten or he was playing in the SEC, he'd be playing against more defensive backs that are going to go in the NFL that have that level of talent. Okay. Now, just because he wasn't throwing against those guys, you shouldn't knock him. And here's why. What is Zach's supporting cast also like? Well, the truth is they also don't create much separation. So there is a little bit more of a learning curve where someone like him versus Trevor Lawrence, who played in the ACC, played against Alabama a couple of times, he's a little bit more used to playing against that type of level of play speed. So I would say that Zach does have a greater learning curve, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he still has this really, really good level of talent. But it probably will take him a little bit longer just to get used to that speed. And I think he's even kind of basically said that in press conferences too, more or less. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. People bring up Big Ben in Miami. Some guy brought up Big Ben from Miami of Ohio, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Yep, again. Mahomes, Troy Aikman, Joe. What's up? Yeah, Ali, you're late. You're late here. What's up, Joe B? What's up, Jets fam? Guess it's better late than never. Haven't caught you live in almost 2 weeks, but never miss a show, bro. Keep it over. Appreciate that. Fields look. Yeah. Let's see anything else. It's punishing guys for being.
Hey, Huff's
in here. Ronnie and Joe. He's late too. Zach Wilson doesn't have a vertical TD longer than 33 air yards and 1,000 attempts. What?
He must not be talking about college, because Zach had a bunch of deep shots.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And Kyle, what play was that? Was that last game where he threw the ball like 65 yards? Or no, that was Elijah Moore play, right? What play was that? Where he threw the ball like 65 yards in the air yards.
The one that Moore dropped against the Panthers. Is that the one you're talking about?
Was that the play that was like 65 air yards?
It was. If it wasn't 65, it was probably close. Yeah, that ball was far downfield. I can't remember for sure.
Joe, you don't know what air yards means? What are you talking about? Air yards from the time it leaves his hand to.
Like a 40 yard, a 40-yard pass is like from the line of scrimmage to, where the receiver like got down, but like air yards is how much
talking
the
about from where
ball's
he
in the
leaves.
air, right? Yeah.
I'm talking about from where the ball leaves his hands as air yards. The actual pass, if he's throwing it from the 15, the line of scrimmage is a 20, and it goes to the 35, it's a 15-yard pass, but the air yards of that pass is 20 yards. So I get what air yards is. I don't. Okay. Rest of the linebacker core again. We have 15 minutes. Quincy Williams, brutal missed tackle on 3rd and 11 with
he hit the check down to Gordon.
Dude, Gordon was like tippy-toeing on the sideline, and Quincy Williams still went outside in. Like, terrible. Verge Tibbs says Joe Blewett got you. I don't know what that means. But what's up?
Yeah, so Quincy's one of those guys who clearly he can deliver a big hit. You saw it in the Patriots game, but he's kind of one of these guys who, doesn't always know what he's doing, and he takes bad angles. And, if you take a bad angle, like, yeah, you could hit with you could run fast and just lay a shot on a guy. But if you're taking a bad angle, it's not going to work out.
Dude, the one play he ran in so uncontrolled, he actually hit Quinn Williams out of a tackle for loss.
That's funny. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Ruined cause. Another good example. Steve McNair went to Alcorn State. Like, come on. Like, so like, oh yeah. So with Zach Wilson, BYU, more quarterbacks go to shitty schools than ones who are probably good go to whatever. But
and just to go back to Josh Allen for one moment too. Like, I think part of the reason why you saw Josh have such a big breakout, like year 2 to year 3, I can't think of the last time I saw a jump that big. And I could be wrong, but going back, because I know CD disagrees with me. Part of the reason I keep saying what I'm saying is I think it took Josh a little bit longer to catch up to the play speed of the NFL. But once he did, and granted, he had a lot of help and things like that and good coaching, you started to see that talent flourish. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it's yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so I'm not trying to. Let's see, Joe. That rumor was disproved. You can't remember who showed his long college passes on YouTube. Me. Did reviews
Joe,
for
you put
8
out
hours?
7 hours? Yeah,
7 hours. It's there. So you can't say that. Like, that's I don't know what people are talking about. Hoof says I went to tailgate with you guys opening day. I was waiting for you to tweet what section you guys were parked. Are partying. I walked around for 3 hours and left. What section? Oh, that's. Dude, and I apologize too, because we are never where we were in G. I am always in J1. Hoof. J1 Sunday. If you're there, come. I would be more than let's drink some beers. That'd be awesome. J1.
That would be great to see him. Hoof. I'm sorry that happened.
J1. Look for
Hoof. But Hoof. It goes both ways, bro.
Me.
Hoof. It goes both ways, bros. Why were you walking around for 3 hours rather than tweeting at one of us?
Yeah, that's true.
Let me try to find them by walking out rather than
he's the guy who won't text you first, No, it's okay. Yeah, my bad. I'm always in J1. So if you go to J1 this time, I'll be there. Jets bus, you'll notice it. You'll obviously then what my face looks like. So Hoof is going. Awesome. Moving on, Kyle, because we have to move on. Linebacker, yeah, Quincy Williams. Sherwood had a couple of bad plays. The one on the touchdown, he could have set a harder edge. Safeties, Marcus May, okay. I give Adrian Colbert and Wilson credit for not standing out in a bad way at safety. That's a positive for them.
I'd agree with that.
And then the pass that the corners, dude, Michael Carter II. I think
Bryce Hall, yeah, man.
When we did that show, I think I predicted him for the defensive rookie of the year, Michael Carter, which is not like I'm not going out on a limb because he's like the first defensive player picked, but his technique has been so good, and he's been so physical in the run game and super. Did you see
the word you used to sum him up was clean? That was the word that you're like, I liked him. You're like you were kind of cool when you were talking about it. You're like, yeah, Michael Carter II. I like this film, man. It was clean.
Oh, all right.
That's how you said it. It was basically
he had that tackle for loss this game too. Like he's been good in the run game too.
And Bryce Hall in the run game too, man. That tackle for loss that he had against the Patriots, where he kind of like he came in and spun around. Yeah.
Like this play, like I'm not gonna break it down again. There's 3-hour videos of me doing this. Like for him to maintain his outside leverage right here versus a tight end and like get over top of that and make that tackle, like he's been really, really good. Bryce Hall. He got beat one time deep by Tim Patrick. Not a bad play. Guidry, PI, bullshit. Guidry didn't play, or not Guidry, sorry. Eccles. He got beat a couple times this game. Should have had the pick. There were some problems with him. But overall, through these
Plays
3
hard
weeks,
too.
You have to be like at this point, like you have like based on what we've seen so far, you have to be comfortable with Carter, Guidry being your 1 and 2 in the slot guys, Hall being a number 2, and then Eccles most likely being like a depth guy, that 4th guy, not a starter yet. You have to be happy with that. Like if they were to add, let's say, whoever his name is, Joe
Blewett?
if they were to add Joe Smith at corner next year, and he's a number 1 for $11 million, like I think we're happy with the corner position based on how they're playing. If it obviously
And by the way, say what you said on your, because I don't know if you said this on a stream recently, but you were saying it in your film review about you and Marcus Coleman, and you were talking about the Jets DB coach.
Oh yeah,
Say what you said, because these viewers might not have heard it, because you were talking about it in your Patriots film review.
Oh, in terms of like them not staying square.
Mm-hmm.
And how, so Marcus Coleman got coached by Tony Oden with the Texans, and he specifically said that he's really big on getting shuffles in and staying square. And now Tony Oden is coaching the Jets corners, and now they're staying square. And I've been bitching about Jets corners staying square for 4 years, 5 years minimum, Kyle, minimum.
Mm.
And now they're doing it, and now they're playing
He's
well.
not lying.
Holy shit. People staying square means good corner play. And the bad couple plays they had this game was them bailing and not having that relationship between the sideline and the receiver like they're supposed to. But when they say square, they're playing well. And they're playing a lot of 1, they're playing a lot of 2. People are saying, like, I keep hearing people say, oh, they're playing a lot of cover 3. There's been a lot of cover 3. It's been a lot of 2, a lot of 1.
I agree with
a lot
you.
of 6, but like people are like, that's a generic saying, like, oh, well, cover 3, they're weak in the like. There's been probably the least of cover 3 versus any of the coverages that they've been running, or at least it's toward the bottom tier. Moving on from that. Or do you want to comment on the corners? I kind of just went off talking.
No, I don't think I really have much to add.
Yeah. The Titan game. So do you want to hit on anything else from the game before we get into the Titan game
We probably should talk about the Titans, being that we don't have that much time left.
8 minutes? Yeah, and I apologize. Some of the other streams on other days, guys, are going to be different, but my Thursdays, basically, to just give you a really quick insight, I get to bed at like 9 a.m. after working midnight. I sleep from 9 a.m. till about 1:30, eat breakfast. I record from about 2:30 till about 5:30, 5:45. And then I do this show. So I have to sleep before I go to work at midnight. So I apologize for only being 2 hours sometimes, but what's up, Assassin? Blewett the goat. Appreciate that. Cartman. Okay. Who is number 2 in our pick'ems right now? I forget. Kyle, Tennessee Titans.
Finished second last year to me. So just throwing that out there.
He finished second. Where are you guys right now? Cartman is second, tied with. Oh, he's above us. We're both 11 and 15, and he's 12 and 14 right now.
Jeez.
Vinny and Rob have the number 1 spot at 13 and 13. Rob was like 7 and 1 this week, but continuing. Sorry.
Do I know Rob?
Rob Broadhead. He was in our fantasy league. He watches the videos and stuff. I don't think he doesn't comment a ton, but
okay.
You might. I'm not sure. Titans game. What are your initial or your thoughts?
So if they don't have both their starting receivers, that's obviously a huge loss for them.
Josh Reynolds and Chester Rogers.
Yeah, man. Especially being that like they don't have Corey anymore either. But with that being said, if there was one running back that you could just run repeatedly, this is that running back. But honestly, though, like in 2021 NFL, that's not smart football right there. And the truth is, if both those receivers are out, trust me, all the Jets defenders are going to be coached on, hey, listen, we're going to expect to see a lot of runs. You have to, this formation, this personnel grouping, you're expecting run first, period. And the Titans, okay, so what if they go to play action? Like, who are you going to throw to? You'll take that, fit the run first. But, the Jets better bring their lunch pail this week, because it is going to be some hard-nosed football probably. I really think AJ is not going to play. Julio, I mean, they said up in the air. What do you think about that? Do you think he plays? Too early to tell, right?
Yeah, based on like some of the stuff I've seen from like Titans Twitter, based on him like sitting out last week in a divisional huge game, close game, people are saying that they think if they had to bet, he'd be sitting out. So he's iffy. AJ Brown's apparently going to be out. But even like, listen, Julio was great. I still think he's good. But even Julio, Chester Rogers, and whatever, like it's nothing to write home about. But I think he's going to be out. And then you're looking at Chester Rogers and Josh Reynolds as their
Who's
number
their
one and
tight
two.
end now? They don't have Jonnu anymore. So who's the tight end?
Ferkser, I think is their
Okay,
starter.
who used to be with the Jets,
and
and who's trained by my buddy, who trains a couple of the Jets dudes.
so he sucks. And Jeff Swaim or something like that, I think.
Okay, but dude, someone in the chat is hating on Tannehill, and you're a big Tannehill hater. Why are you so down on Tannehill? You, Joe Blewett.
I just think that he doesn't make a ton of plays
Okay,
that are like
let's be fair.
when I watch him.
He's not as good as his PFF grades say.
So
I give you that.
Me overrating him is not saying that he's not a solid quarterback. I think he's average, but I think people prop him up because of where his team was, Derrick Henry, him being able to run. People are saying he's like a top 5 quarterback like last year.
He's not top 5.
So that's where I
think he's top 10 though.
We'd have to really go through.
He's definitely borderline top 10 for sure.
I think he's probably like that 12 to 15 range for me if I really had to go through all the quarterbacks. But nonetheless, it's not overrating him saying he's like terrible. I just don't think he's as good as some people think he is. I don't know. We have to really kind of get into it.
Okay, quickly, what about his game do you think is suspect?
Well, one, I watched a lot of it with the Miami Dolphins, and I thought his reads were absolutely terrible. So that obviously clouded my judgment a little bit because he went to the Titans. He started making a few plays. I just don't think he does anything out of the ordinary. I think a lot of things last year based on the system that this system is, with Arthur Smith coming from like the Shanahan type thing or, system. I think a lot of his throws were kind of schemed open and he just didn't really impress me. I don't know what else I haven't gotten to the nitty gritty with him, but I watch him. It's just a lot of guys running open, handing off
you a hard time.
Yeah,
I would agree that he's not special in any particular thing, but I think he's good in many different areas. Like he's really good at throwing on the run. I think he's better in the pocket than given credit for, especially when you consider how many hits he took early in his career early on. I think he's got really good accuracy. He definitely can really push the ball really far downfield. Like he's got a good arm overall. He sells play action really well. Anyway, by the way, Assassin is trolling you, and he's saying that Jamar Chase was the correct pick over Sewell, which you tried to give me shit for. But we're only 3 weeks in the season, so it's a little premature.
We have 3 names. Sam says, "Why even do this live cast? Jets are a joke," because there's like 130 people in here who wanted to watch, and we have a subscription-based website, and this is a free service to people to hopefully urge them to go pay for a subscription, and in general, just to talk to the fans. Like, why the hell not? Because we love doing it.
Yeah.
With that being said,
too.
Yeah, we could vent, we could talk, we could discuss with them. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what? Jets are sucking right now. Screw all the people who look forward to these live streams, every week, every other week, whatever it may be. So you don't have to tune in. That's fine. With that, Kyle, score prediction. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Score prediction, because we got dose minutes.
Man, I really do want to pick the Jets for their first win, but it's really tough to do. I'll say I probably should have thought of one before. I'll say Titans 27. No. Titans.
No.
Titans 20 and Jets 17.
Wow, we're always pretty close. I have Titans 23, Jets 16. I could to be honest, if they get their shit together, I could see them win this game again. Because Derrick Henry's great, but to me, if they don't have Julio, if they don't have AJ Brown, you stack the freaking hell out of that box. And then to me, because Derrick Henry's powerful, but a lot of people think, okay, powerful runners have to go inside. He's the type of runner who needs a couple of steps to get going. Mm-hmm. So for me, for the Jets defense, a lot of guys on the edges pinching the hell out of those running lanes and make Derrick Henry go up the middle against Quinn Williams, Foley Fatukasi, etc. You do not want him to get on the edge versus our corners and safeties. Mm-hmm. So overload that box, but specifically on the outside of the tackles and just funnel everything inside. And if you can slow him down while also being aware of Tannehill and his running ability, they're throwing to Chester Rogers again. And all these guys, their defensive line is okay. Their linebackers are okay. Their secondary is okay, but it's an okay defense with an offense that has Henry, but if they don't have the receivers, that's really it. So I could see the Jets winning this game if they get their heads out of their ass. But I guess we'll see.
So based on what we were just talking about and what you just said, and I agree with you, it's going to be a big day tackling for the corners. So we'll see we're going to see what Bryce Hall and Michael Carter and Eccles are made of, tackling in the run game.
It's big. It's big to see the defensive philosophy again. Pinch him inside, then it wouldn't be as much on the corners. Force them back inside. Don't let them get those 3, 4, 5, 6 steps of steam and then start trucking dudes. Because if you hit him on the line of scrimmage, obviously he's a massive dude, but it's a lot different than hitting him in open field, him running 20 miles per hour at 240 pounds or whatever.
Yeah, when you see Derrick Henry trucking dudes or stiff arming dudes, it's out in space.
Yeah,
like he had like a big truck on a screenplay last week. But dude, if he's running into Foley Fatukasi, Derrick Henry's a big dude. He's a lot smaller than Fatukasi though.
Yeah, Fatukasi will take him. Yeah. All right, Kyle. By the way, I just uploaded the show for you, Kyle, so you can get that whenever you want, even though you're behind. Appreciate everybody for listening. Somebody says 17 or Jets 20-17. Jets win first. I'll be ecstatic. I'll be there. Appreciate everybody for listening again. Tough times, over 100 people, super chats, really engaging in the chat. Shout out to you guys for sure. I'll be back next week with Nania and Sabo, maybe Kyle the week after that. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys in the game again. J1, you could email me, joe.blewett@jetsxfactor.com. Tweet me, DM me, whatever. If you want to come, fine. BYOB, just bring your own stuff. I appreciate that. Kyle, any last words?
No, thanks everyone for watching, and thank you for all the very generous super chats. Take care.